I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.
What's up, JFW family? Welcome back to the Channel 23 podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to reach out and touch a fleet, to engage and inform everyone with all things JFW. In the studio today, we got Jim White, Super Dave, and our special guest, Alan Chili Dog Martinez. What's up, everybody?
Morning, everybody. Morning, Chili Dog.
Morning.
Happy podcast day. That's what they tell me in my house.
Absolutely, and it's Wednesday. It's that somebody said hump day, but also podcast day. Yep.
Absolutely. Well, let's kick it off with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. So yesterday, JR said to me, hey, I got an idea for the podcast. Why don't we do a trucker's prayer? And my eyes lit up. I was like, why don't we do that? So here's a little prayer for everybody today. Father God, we thank you for the opportunity to go out and do some trucking today. We pray for the safety of our fleet, all their families, and all of the other families and individuals we come across on the road today. We pray for patience and the making of good, safe decisions. We pray to be accident-free and that we all make it back to the comfort of our homes this evening. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
All right.
Amen. Love that trucker prayer.
Yeah. Did JR find that or write that?
I wrote it.
Oh, you wrote it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good job.
But thanks for loving it, Dave.
Well, there's been a trucker prayer that we've like put on the reader board and stuff like that before?
There is like an old school trucker prayer. I mean, I just like the part about all the other families and individuals, Jim.
Yeah, so there are a bunch of trucker prayers, and when JR said it, I told JR, why don't you find one? And then I started looking. I'm like, I pray every day. Why are we going to look for one that somebody wrote? Let's just write one. That could change weekly too. So
yeah, I guess that's what I was thinking, Jam. Is it needs to change weekly because that's what you're doing for our circumstances.
Well,
right?
we have a beautiful sunny day out there, and it's Wednesday. It's usually snowing, so we could say trucker prayer. Let's pray for no snow and
Wednesday,
dry roads.
Right. Yeah. Lord, help us out. We need some.
Right?
Let's pray that we don't have a blind spot.
Right? You got all that stuff. Yeah.
As a reminder, anything you hear on today's podcast is not the opinion of JFWs. It's just chili dogs.
Oh, somebody to blame.
Oh, dang.
Got some good stats here. Episode 73, we had 603 downloads. We are at 29,072 total downloads, and we have 182 followers. So, good stuff there. Episode 71 had a comment on it, and it's for Alfred Jr., and it said, my dad, Forrest Callback Sr., always speaks highly of you fellas, even now after that he's retired. Thanks, little Al, for your kind words about Carrie and him. Albert Fry and Sons has been great to my family, and it was signed Trackseed. That's his
handle or
his
nickname?
His Podbeat handle. So
Podbeat.
Could be his real handle, I don't know. But that episode 73, has 792 downloads. So we need 8 down.
3 or 71?
Episode 71. Did I say 3?
Yeah.
Yeah. Episode 71 has 792 downloads. So if you haven't listened to that one, if 8 of you could go ahead and listen to it, I would love to have 800 downloads on that one.
Break 800, huh,
Yep.
Jam? That's awesome.
Absolutely.
But that's good stuff right there because that's family, generational family.
Yeah.
You know, and that's good. It's important.
Yep. Big news in my house this week. We got another dog. It's a German Shepherd Husky mix. It's the first long-haired dog I've had forever. I mean, I had a Akita at one point in my life, but she's really cool. I like her. It's been fun. But do you know what kind of canine wears a sweater?
Usually an ankle biter canine.
No.
No.
A chili dog.
Chili dog. Oh man, that makes mine even more stupid, Jim. I can't. I'll have to skip mine.
It's time for the dad joke challenge. Chili dog, we're gonna let you go first.
I was so focused on you, not gonna lie. You caught me off guard. Right on. Anyways, the other day, my wife and I, we got in a pretty serious argument.
Uh-oh.
She told me I gotta stop acting like a flamingo, so I had to put my foot down.
Ah,
That's a good one.
that's a good one. Sammy,
That's a
write
good
that
one.
one for you.
No, but she's insisting I tell her joke.
Oh, let's hear it. We
All
want to
right,
hear it.
just keep in mind it's from a 6-year-old.
I love it.
They're
yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She says, Dad, why did the people punch the air?
Why, Sammy?
Because it blew their hairs off.
All
That's
right.
definitely a 6-year-old's joke. I love it.
Did she write that one?
Yes, she did. Full credit to her.
Good
Man.
job.
Well, mine's not much better, and I'm like 59 or something. So I tried to find this time because we're having the rodeo, the truck rodeo. I tried to find truck rodeo jokes, and bunch of just rodeo jokes come up.
Sure.
You know, cowboys, all that kind of stuff. And then once in a while we really get political on the show here, the podcast. So, what does a rodeo clown and a politician? Or what is the difference between a rodeo clown and a politician?
Oh, man. Does it have something to do with the horns?
Yeah, it kind of rings familiar. I think I might have heard that one before, but
The rodeo clown tries to avoid the bull.
Oh man, I like it. Good job. All right, Soup, hit us over the
Well,
head.
you know, I had a savior call me this morning because I was searching through a bunch of dumb dad jokes. And, you know, our good friend, Big Empty, gave me a call this morning, and he said, hey, everyone has heard of Murphy's Law, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, who hasn't, right?
Right,
The law of anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But has anyone heard of Cole's Law?
Like Kohl's a department store or Kohl's?
Like black coal? Coals?
Yeah, COLE, Cole's Law.
Nope.
Well, it's usually cabbage and mayonnaise.
Cole's Law.
I was like, right on.
If you're a first-time listener, I'm sorry.
Right? It does get better, doesn't it, from here on out, hopefully?
I liked it.
I hope so.
I learned how to make coleslaw this morning.
That's awesome. New employees this week, we got Mary Estrella and Lorenzo Gonzalez. Welcome to the fleet.
Yeah, welcome you guys.
Welcome, you guys.
Welcome.
Celebrations, we got a big one. Alex Reza and his wife had baby Enzo Reza on March 26th.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my mom's birthday, March 26th. So happy birthday, Mom. But that name, Enzo Reza, it's just powerful. Like
Yeah,
that,
Enzo.
Yeah.
I've always liked Enzo.
I feel like that kid's going to be a boss.
Right.
You know? I'd say yes, sir, to him.
Yeah, it
Already.
flows good. I like it.
Yep.
Congratulations, Alex.
Anniversaries. Lexi Brown, 1 year yesterday. Congratulations, Lexi.
Congratulations, Lexi.
Dustin Romero, 7 years yesterday.
7 years, Dustin.
Way to go, Dustin.
And then Richard Brown, he's coming up. I didn't write how many years for some reason. Super Dave,
I would say 7.
7 as well.
Could be 8, but
Okay. Well, March 30th, 7 or 8 years for Richard Brown. Sorry about that, Rich. I should have wrote it down. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah, I want to throw it out there too. Lexi, obviously, Rich is her grandfather and works with her dad and grandfather in the shop and everything. But
Josh, yep.
I just want to give a shout out for Girl Power.
Okay.
Because that, you know, I have 3 daughters. I've tried to, you know, raise them easily to, you know, compete in a man's world, if that's what you want to call it and stuff. But Lexi's been doing, you know, in the wash bay, that's not an easy job. And to be here a year and she
Yep.
busts her butt, and
Yep.
I always hear good things about her. So congratulations for her.
Absolutely.
And she's a young girl, right?
she's
19, maybe 18,
I
right?
think 19.
19. Yeah, so good stuff.
And I know you and Dave, you have mentioned before, we don't even really talk about this stuff because you guys weren't raised that way, and it makes no difference to JFW if you're male or female.
No,
or,
doesn't. No,
you
Jim.
know.
No.
But she started with her friend. So Super Dave hired two young ladies at the same time. I think it raised a few eyebrows, like, are they going to make it? And then Lexi's still here. You know, so
Yeah.
I don't know if they force her, if her dad and Rich force her to do it. but-
No,
Because she drives here on her
Absolutely not.
own. And yeah.
I was talking to her on Friday last week. We were just chatting outside the wash bay. And she said, you know, I really like this job. I looked at her and I shouldn't have done this, but I said, you do?
It's because you did it for a lot of years,
Yeah.
Dave, and you know how tough
Well,
it
it's
is.
a hard job.
It
Yeah.
is a hard job, right? Yeah.
I'll tell you another nice thing about Lexi is she's so polite. When she comes to talk to you, it's just very respectful. Like if it's business related, I mean, she's very respectful. She's very polite in asking her questions, and she had some questions about PTO the other day because she's getting some more for her year anniversary. She wanted to know how that worked and stuff like that, and she was just super polite and a pleasure to talk to. So, nice job, Lexi. Nice job, Josh, for raising her, and nice job, Rich, for being her grandpa.
Yeah, being a grandpa, right? Right. Yeah, and I get thinking about the way we were talking about it because we also have some wonderful women driver too. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to break it off into man or woman or anything like that too. Maybe it's her age, being responsible as young as she is, that makes her stand out just as much as being a girl or a woman. So,
I mean, not for nothing. The industry is male dominated.
Yeah,
The trucking
yeah.
industry, the wash bay. I mean, these are just male dominated industries. So when you have, a woman that's doing a good job, I mean, they stick out.
yeah.
So
And
I don't
congratulations. That's awesome.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about that.
No.
So, birthdays, we got Dan Hawk and Gabe Colmenero. Birthdays are this Friday. Happy birthday, guys.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Family birthday celebrations, we got Christian Gonzalez, which is Benny Gonzalez's son. His birthday was Sunday the 26th as well. Great day for a birthday. Then we got Brianna, Jason Gamage's daughter, and Ureni Colmenero, Tuesday the 28th. So happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, everybody.
Happy birthday, everybody.
That was Colmenero family has a few birthdays back to back, right?
He's got one coming up, I think, or maybe his wife has one. And the interesting thing about Gabe's children's names, they're all sound like the parents' names. So if I got this right, Ureni, his wife's name might be Yeleni, and then his name is Gabrielle, and he's got a son with a name very similar to that. So if you ever talk to Gabe about this stuff, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of family pride, so it's pretty cool. Then we got a card in the mail from Drea Molina, I believe is Potter's girlfriend, and it was a thank you for her birthday card. What was cool about this card is she actually used a wax seal to seal the envelope, and it was like the tree of life.
Yeah,
That stuck out to me.
that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
that was really cool. So thank you, Drea. That was very nice of you.
Not only the old school, the wax seal, but the tree of life, right? That's just
yeah.
classy. That's
and
cool.
actually putting it in the mail and
Yeah.
taking the time and effort. Like we just
Who mails
love it.
anything nowadays,
Yeah,
right?
We just love that. Yeah.
Text or email, but yeah.
Yep. Chili Dog, you got any shout outs?
How long do we got? That's the question.
All day.
Stuff there.
Yeah, I got a couple shout outs.
You know what's pretty cool is Chili Dog, he's been practicing to be on the podcast. When I read his wife's email later, like he's taking this serious. More serious than me, so I appreciate that.
Right on.
He's got notes, he's got a book.
Hey, whoa. Telling people my business. That's not cool.
Moving his file cabinet up soon.
Yeah. I had to dig out the key for the lock from the filing cabinet.
Go for it.
But my first shout out is for my girls, my wife, Mrs. Chili. Thank you so much. You're my best friend. And then my Sammy, my little baby Chili. We call her Shama.
Shama.
Yeah, this is long story, but long story short, some kid at school couldn't pronounce her name, so he called her Shama. But I just want to say thank you guys for always pushing me to be the best person I can be.
Nice.
And then I just want to give a shout out to JB, Mr. Johnny, and 0090. Just want to say thank you for hearing me out and always giving me advice about life. And I tell you what, if you guys ever need a spot to go eat some tacos or a little roach coach on the road, hit up Johnny. He'll hit you up. Nice. He got pinpoints and everything and numbers, so you can call ahead.
So that's great advice and good food.
Yep.
You can't beat that.
Johnny B.
And then I want to give a shout out to Edward too in 0095. That cat, he has a kind heart.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's always like so helpful and always willing to give a helping hand. Nice. You know, so big shout out to him.
Are you crying right now?
Yeah, man. Like, this is some good stuff. Like, you feeling it or what?
Yeah. I'm feeling it. Yeah. I mean, we just got serious.
Yeah, man. I told you I was serious.
Wow.
Hey, I got Ryan, Big Hungry.
Big Empty.
Big Empty. 0083. I just want to say thank you for always being there for me, to the advice and the laughs we share all the time.
Nice.
And then, of course, my boy Ozzy. Got to give him a big old shout out. Thank you for sticking by me through those endless shop nights back in the day to helping me settle into my new journey here at JFW.
Nice.
I appreciate that a lot. And then last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my chili pups. My little trainees, Juan in 0079. I got Dylan in 0021. And then I got Luis in 0032.
Sweet.
And then we got the newest member to the litter, Mr. Lorenzo. Nice. His truck number's yet to be determined, right?
Sweet, man. I didn't realize you trained that many people.
Yeah, me either. So I sat down and really thought about it.
Are those all the people you've trained? Or
Yeah.
So you have 100% retention right now?
As well, yes. We're at 95% because I got this new cat with me.
Okay, well, he's
Yeah.
still here. So.
Yeah.
A good story about Lorenzo. We were doing our little orientation in the lunchroom Monday morning, and he just started looking through the calendar, our JFW calendar on the wall, comes across Jesus in 0017, and he goes, I know him.
Oh, nice.
I know his brother. And we went to school together. And so it turns out he has a good friend that works here.
Very cool.
That's awesome. Small world.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah,
Just
small world.
Going through the calendar.
Yeah.
Jim, you got any? Are you done?
Yeah, I'm good.
You got any shout outs, Jim?
Yeah, good job. That was awesome. Yeah, just a couple wanted to mention the truck rodeo, and again we'll talk about it here. That's this weekend, Saturday here. But everybody, and hopefully I didn't miss anybody here. I know there was a couple people missing last night. They had a final meeting last night, but I want to give a shout out to them. So Dustin, Casey, Dan, Rick, Jesse, Potter, JR, Joanne, Veronica, and Troy. They really took a lot of time. They've had meetings, tried to do it once a week. Obviously, we've either been busy or snow, and they've given up their own personal time to try to put this together and make it good for everybody. And then, it's a little bit ahead of time, but I wanted to give a shout out to the participants for this weekend and wish them good luck. I think it'll be fun. This is our first year. There's going to be some rough edges. Hopefully there's some fun times, and we make some history out of the first annual truck rodeo. So anyway, just a thank you to the participants and all these guys giving up their personal time to put it together.
I'm excited. We're going to JFW it.
Yeah, it'll be good. Good weather too. Supposed to be like 65 or something like that Saturday.
How lucky is that?
Right?
Nice.
Right.
Nice.
Even if it is April, maybe that's an April Fool's thing. It's April 1st. They're just kidding us, right?
Yeah,
About
when
the nice
people
weather.
show up for the rodeo, they're like, gotcha.
That
April
really is
Fools.
a roll of the dice because it could be a foot of snow on
Absolutely,
April 1st,
super, absolutely.
So we got lucky.
Soup, any shout outs from you?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Edward. Edward was planning to move on, and I guess he had a lot of input from the drivers, and I mean everybody kind of like grabbed his shirt tails and said, "Edward, you're not going to leave, are you?" And so he really thought hard about the choice. I love that. Maybe even just writing down pros and cons, but he really thought about it, put a lot of time into that, and decided to stay. So
Awesome.
That
That's
is awesome.
fantastic.
Yep.
Yep. Shout out to Ryan Emmerling, or from Ryan Emmerling, I should say. He wrote, "Hello, Jam. I just wanted to give a shout out to Brother Jim for on the podcast for jumping in and fixing a broken air connection on the trailer. I pulled my truck into the shop to have my truck repaired. Ricky was preoccupied with repairs on another truck. As I was waiting, Brother Jim was walking past my truck and heard the air leak. He put down his coffee and rolled up his sleeves and got to work fixing the truck. That's the difference between a boss and a leader. Thank you." And then he signed it. "Together we face and overcome all that stands before us." So definitely not out of character for Jim. I've seen him pull in leadership fashion many, many times. So
Yeah, I wanted to mention Jam because I was like, oh, that's no big deal, and I got the power to take that out. Tell you don't put that in there, right?
oh, you do. Doesn't mean I'd listen.
right. But you learn. People say that's the hardest skill to learn is to take a compliment.
Right.
And that is so true. And just
true, Jim.
right. And so thank you, to Ryan and stuff for that. And the thing about that makes that compliment so nice is it was truly the easiest fix. I probably robbed something from Ricky because it was as many him and Chris for the difficult fixes they have. It was just an airline that I was able to fix. I was like, oh, I could do that. It made me look good. And it was simple. So yeah, thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, buddy.
Sometimes the easy layup goes a long way.
Right.
All right, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast and the discussion. Before we dive too deep in, Scooby texted me. He said, "Can we make an announcement for people to just take one can of window cleaner because we're running out?" So, Super Dave, you mentioned sometimes we'll get in a truck and you'll see there's like 3 cans of window cleaner. You don't need 3 cans. What about the guy who has no cans?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes for the rolls of paper towel, too. Jim and Dave are generous to provide that for us, and we go through cases and cases of that stuff. And I might have to go into a truck after somebody leaves and clean out, things that were left, and I'll find 5 or 6 cans of window cleaner in that truck. And I know what happens. They're just headed out, and maybe it's snowing outside, and they're like, oh, I better grab a can of window cleaner because I'll need to clean my windows, and they've forgotten that they've had 3 cans in there. But, yeah, please remember that everybody needs to use that stuff and share it.
Yeah, and through this time of year too, Dave, I remember that would be so frustrating also is, and it's getting pretty warm, but that can will freeze, and then it doesn't work that well. So then you grab another one, and then you got a new one in the truck, and then that one freezes, and you haven't cleaned your truck out or whatever, and you got a couple cans that don't work, or they warm up a little bit, and then they finally spray enough you can do the windows. So yeah, if we can just grab that one can and that one roll of paper towel, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I actually have a recommendation. I carry a little squeegee with me, and I only have to carry. I've been carrying the same roll of paper towel for a month or 2, and all I do is spray the windows, squeegee it, and just use one sheet of paper, and we're good
Wipe
to
your
go.
door off.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, great tip.
Man, you are adding a lot of value here. So, as we mentioned, Truck Rodeo is this Saturday. How many participants do we have? Like 30?
I thought 35.
35?
30.
Chili Dog, are you signed up for that?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
Good. I thought it was 32, but we must be close because we're between 30 and 35. How's that?
Right on.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I have a question about it. I remember a couple podcasts back. Our family's allowed to come, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to make that.
Yeah. What we kind of did, I sat in on the meeting last night, and everybody's, the group of people I mentioned are really excited about it, and they've done a lot of hard work. So we're expecting about 60 people, and what everybody thought was, here's 30 participants, at least their wife, significant other, if your kids want to come, something like that. They've planned a food truck, a taco truck. I think it'll start serving between like 11 and noon, so everybody can at least have a taco, that kind of thing. So hopefully the family members, plenty of food. I know Joanne's also got Krispy Kremes. She ordered a bunch. She picks them up tomorrow night for, Friday night for Saturday. So there'll be some donuts, some coffee, stuff like that. Everybody decided last night, and I know JR announced it, that starts at 8 o'clock, but participants have to be there by 9. The rodeo will start at 9 o'clock. That's when we'll start the pre-trip, the road course, all that kind of stuff. You guys, at 9 o'clock. We all discussed, if you show up and you're a participant and you're after 9 o'clock, you don't get to do it, you guys. You got it. That should be part of, being a competitor, is you show up on time. So if you're there after 9 o'clock, you don't get to compete. But
and you lose your percentage bump.
Yeah, percentage bump, right? Saturday, that one, right? Safety bonus, whatever.
Nope. And PTO disqualification.
So yeah, it's definitely there. I'm going to say it's open. We have people working out of that yard Saturday, but welcome to show up at 8 o'clock. Starts at 9. I know JR and those guys last night were asking for some more volunteers, and the volunteers are like, we'll try to go, or they'll try to go over it with, one of the rules that they mentioned last night, and they've copied a lot of what they did at the state, right? You call it, GEM, or the motor carriers.
Yeah, CMCA.
But, your windows have to be down, and one of the rules is you can't stick your head out the window.
Oh.
Well, and you can't do that at the state or the CMCA's deal too. So they wanted to volunteer as you guys are going through the course. You can't stick your head out the window. There's somebody there to watch you to make sure you don't do that. And one of the things they all decided on is, I guess, in the state competition, after you're done with the course, you pull up to a piece of steel that's the same shape and roughly size of a dollar bill. And you have to park perfectly on that. You have to cover it with your steer tire. And it's
driver's side, or does it matter?
Passenger side, Dave. So it's even more
even
difficult.
harder.
So
Yep.
your right steer tire, you cover that plate, you win that money. Everybody decided last night to make that worth $100.
Nice.
So after you do the road course, if you can pull up and hit that plate, cover it perfectly, you win $100. So there's a volunteer to be watching for that. Nice. That's going to be judging that. So yeah, if we could get some volunteers, or if they could get some volunteers, it would be awesome. Probably, I don't know, did JR mention 10 to 20 or 10 people this morning? Did you hear the announcement?
I didn't hear that. I must have been up here. But,
getting ready. But yeah, anyway, I know they can at least use 10 people. So anybody want to volunteer. And that can be a wife, a significant other, they wanted to grab some kids. They're going to try to do the tests and then grade them and then run them so we can score them. So it's ready. And they were talking about having the kids be the runners, grab a couple kids, and
Nice.
we were going to put them in safety vests. So, nobody runs over a kid on the course.
I could see if Bella wants to come.
Sure.
I know Kiana, Ron Bugler's significant other, she volunteered. I don't know, because I heard one of the guys yesterday say we didn't have any volunteers, but I know Kiana did volunteer. I don't know if Joanne got that message to them.
Sure. And Joanne was, she was sick,
was
so
out,
she wasn't here last night. I think people have contacted her. I think we have enough, but volunteer. I mean, it should be fun. So, yeah.
Cool.
I think that's...
I'll volunteer. What time's that breakfast food truck get there?
It's donuts, Krispy Kreme donuts and coffee. So breakfast truck though, 11 o'clock.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'll be there.
that's good there too. And then also I've seen the trophies. Got trophies
Yep.
and bragging rights for next year.
Ooh.
I mean that's the deal. You stop on that plate or win the deal. You're the I can't say you're the man. You're the person for the whole year.
The driver.
The driver of the year, right?
Could be the woe man.
I'd like to try that, stopping on the plate.
Yeah. So what?
That intrigues me.
Well, everybody looked at me, and Brother Dave wasn't there last night, and they're like, "Okay, so how much money? How much money is that worth? What do you think?" I think the state does $50 or $20. I don't know. So Dustin sat there, and I'm going to throw it on Dustin. He guaranteed me that out of 200 people last year at the state, 2 people were only able to do that. So I thought, well, if that's the case, we get one person. That's pretty good. So anyway, put $100 bounty on it is what we did. So if all 30 contestants or 35 contestants, I guess, park on it,
We spend our whole day dumping and picking a spot that's level and looking at that ahead of time as you're driving into a job or into a plant, and to be able to pick that spot out on the ground where that little metal plate is, buddy, that's what we do, and that's awesome. That's outstanding skill. Right
yeah.
there.
So I do know Vince Meekins was one of them at the state that won that last
Really?
year.
Oh,
so
wow.
When you talk about that, and then
I didn't
don't
know that.
I don't know who the other person was, but Vince was able to do it. But that's what I'm expressing. You can't just park on the front of it.
Right.
That was
Right,
their
you have
big
to
thing.
cover it.
You have to cover it with your
Perfect.
steer tire. Nobody can see it. Is the
Wow.
trick to it.
Huh. Tell you what, Vince Meekins, he's got a lot of accolades from those rodeos.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Yeah, he won best pre-trip.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think he won or came in third at a different company at one point in his life.
Yeah,
So,
I think so.
yeah, he's all about those rodeos.
Well, it sounds like he's going to be the one to watch on Saturday.
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. And then just to quickly mention, since we're talking about the rodeo, it's going to go probably till 2-3 o'clock. I think Linda's going to call to see some volunteers that aren't participating and are off to make sure all the work's covered. But if you guys are out working for the day, make sure you come by over 23 if you're out of this yard at the end of the day, and we'll be tallying who won and kind of stuff like that, and should be fun.
Yep. Troy Hunt sent me we'll call it an email this morning. See if I can read it. For those brave enough to enter the arena, good morning, JFW fighter pilots. Number 1. So this is, if you're competing, what you should know about the competition. Know all 4 corners of your truck and trailer. Number 2, know your blind side and blind side backing. Number 3, know where your bumper and steer axle are while you're sitting in the cockpit. Number 4, know your pre-trip. Number 5, know your job. Number 6, know JFW.
That'd be good. I mean, I listened to their stuff last night, Jam, and he's spot on. But it's common sense, And
Right.
I talked to the guys. And I'm like, oh no, you guys shouldn't do that. You should make it harder. You should do this. And they were like, oh no, you're so amped up and you're not thinking about it. They said this will be easily missed because they've been watching it at the state competition.
Gotcha.
And I'm like, people miss that? And they're like, oh yeah. So I'm excited to see that. One thing they mentioned, Jam, was, and I would have a difficult time because I think they're gonna give you so much time to do like the road course, and then each thing you do is graded. But like one of the other things is when you stop, if you stop and you start again, you have to honk your horn. And I would forget that.
Right.
And so that's part of what the volunteers will be looking for is if you stop, you got to honk your horn, whether you go forward or back, that you're moving again.
Gotcha.
And you get bumped for that. So there's stuff.
Write that down, Chili Dog.
Oh yeah.
So here's a schedule: 0800 hours, coffee and breakfast. 9 to 10, multiple choice test and course orientation. 10 a.m. on will be 10 a.m. on will be pre-trip and the course. And then he left some quotes here. You can be my wingman anytime, Iceman. Bull poop, you can be mine, Maverick. So
The one when I was looking for jokes, the other one was, this isn't my first rodeo.
so that would have been good.
Yep.
All right, next on the list, we need to talk about turning your key on and letting the truck cycle before starting. What have you been witnessing outside, Jim? I know this is near and dear to your heart.
Yeah, because how can I make this so, like if I yell into the mic, Jim, or I cuss, or I go...
Let me take these off. If you're gonna yell.
Right? Where, like, be abusive, like you guys are all idiots, or WTF, or how do we make this so poignant? Because we've talked about it and talked about it and talked about it. You guys, when you start the trucks, please let the key cycle. And it's not 2 clicks. It's a series of clicks, and it ends with I don't know, I can't even make the noise. Chili Dog, I mean, it's a poof, or
it's the air that kicks back from the brake pedal.
Is that the noise? That's the final noise.
Like even if you're inside the cab and let's say you just lightly put your foot on the pedal, you'll feel a kickback.
Oh yeah, I've done that. I've felt that. Okay, all right. So if it, just like Chili Dog said, but anyway, you got to let that key cycle through. So each system on the truck registers voltage. I was just out at the fuel island, this week sometime, and I watched 3 guys jump in it. It made like 2 clicks, and they turned the key. And I notice a lot. Sometimes the truck doesn't start because you've rushed it. It turns over, but it doesn't start. And then you see the person stop. They shut it off.
Yeah.
Then they click through it,
You
right?
got to key off before it'll go again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then it fires right off the bat. And it would the thing that bothers me the most about it is it's your day you're messing up. Mm-hmm. You're messing up your truck's check engines. You're making the truck not work for you when all you had to do is wait. I don't even know how long it is. It's not even 10 seconds.
I was going
don't
to say
think.
less than 10 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm
I'm
hoping the new guys listen. I'm hoping, Chili Dog and your trainees, that you guys just drive this home, because we have to do this. It will make your lives easier. It'll help the shop, it'll help Mikey, but it makes your guys' lives so much easier. Just key it on and leave it for a minute.
Can you go into more detail? How does it make their lives easier, Jim? What's the big deal?
I mean, for one thing, you don't have to get on the radio and go, hey, I got a check engine light. Is it a red light? Is it an orange light? Is the wrench? And it could be, it's all the systems, you guys. It's your ABS. Mm-hmm. It's the emissions control. You could be telling, for all you know, you're telling the truck that, hey, you did regenerate it at 3:00 yesterday afternoon. I'm okay to run this morning.
Right.
Or maybe the system, because you interrupted it didn't pick up that the DPF or the DEF heating element or the gauge for the DEF tank is all the way full.
Yep.
All of that stuff. Let the truck read the system so it go through. So as far as making your lives easy, you eliminate the chance of an early morning warning or check engine light, Jim. And for me, I hate a check engine light. I mean, if I have to drive a truck and it has a light on, I mean, Chili Dog, right? I mean, and I know we have a lot of trucks with a lot of lights on, and it sucks. Yeah. So if we can eliminate that and make your life easier, just do it.
So basically, if you interrupt that cycle, you could be throwing some false codes. Mm-hmm. That's going to interrupt your day. Yep. You may even have to pull over on the side of the road, turn your truck off, let it reset. If that doesn't work, You may have to bring it into the yard. You may get a 5 mile an hour D-rate, and then you got to wait for the shop to come out with the laptop. Like, it creates a lot of big problems, guys, and girls.
Essentially, you're booting your computers up.
There you
and
go.
Mikey
Yeah.
has told me there are 6 different computers on that.
Yep.
You know, these chassis nodes, Jim, that
Yeah.
he talks about all the time.
Yeah.
But essentially, you're keying that up, getting the juice flowing through that truck, and they're all checking everything out.
Yeah.
Making
and-
sure that, you know, we're ready to go.
Yeah, sorry, Dave. Yeah, and all voltage based.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big thing that it's
Yeah.
got to get the whole system. The voltage thing is so important. And do we have it on the list to talk about the transmissions farther down, Jim? Is it?
Nope. But we could just roll right into that.
Yeah, I guess since we're talking about that, the other things that we really need to bug you guys about, and we've mentioned, you know, and that's what the podcast was originally mentioned for. I mean, I love the anniversaries, I love the birthdays, I love the shout outs, but this is to get information to our drivers, right? To make JFW better. So as we've learned about the transmissions, which whenever I drive one from driving a stick, I think they're badass. I personally love them. I don't want to shift, but maybe I'm because I'm lazy. But the thing is you guys, when you still have to think of that as a manual transmission, it's just being ran by a computer, still a clutch in it. And we've talked about it on the podcast. When you pull up to a light, most of us aren't going to sit there. Well, a light you might, but when you pull into the pit, you're not going to sit there and hold the clutch pedal in. You know, your foot's going to get tired, all that kind of stuff. Please, and that's what the transmission's doing when you pull up to the pile and you're waiting to get loaded, or you're waiting at a light, or I don't know, maybe you're waiting at the plant to get dumped while you watch somebody dump. Throw that transmission in neutral. It's going to be so much better on that truck and transmission because the clutch is not depressed, the throwout bearing's not spinning and possibly trying to stop the transmission. You know, all that stuff isn't working. You've released the clutch inside the transmission when you're sitting in neutral. And then the other thing we're learning too is, I know we defaulted the transmission because we try to start everything so it's driver ease. You know, it's easier to start out. Well, I think the transmissions, they default to 4th. Is that where they start, Chili Dog, or 3rd?
Third.
So loaded, that is really too high.
Yeah.
The truck will go, right? But we did that for the driver. But, you know, you guys are empty 50% of the time as you are loaded. So let's, instead of having to try to shift up to a higher gear when you're empty, we defaulted it to 3rd to get you going empty, knowing that hopefully when you're loaded, you think about driving an old transmission. You don't start out in 4th or 5th or 3rd. You pull it down into 1st, and you start out in 1st loaded. Please do that with the transmission. You know, do it manually. I know the last time I drove, it was like in 3rd. I started to leave, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. It's too high." And the transmission automatically went, "Oh, I won't go," and grabbed a gear down. But and then I talked to everybody, and everybody's all like, "Oh, just default it, just bump it down."
Yeah.
And start out in a lower gear. So it's to make the transmission last longer for you guys. We're trying to eliminate breakdowns. When it's the simple matter of throwing it in neutral and downshifting when you're loaded, I mean, how simple is that? We're not asking anything special. We're asking you to do your job, which is to take care of that truck. That's one of your other jobs too, is to take care of that truck, I guess, right?
That's something I do when I stop in front of the loader. Like, you pull up by the pile, I just immediately paddle it down to 1st gear. After you do that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because you've driven a lot more of these automatics, Chili Dog, but it remembers that you're loaded, doesn't it?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was about to mention that.
Yeah.
At one point, the transmission starts recognizing. So mine automatically downshifts to 2nd
Okay.
when I take off. And I was going to ask you, touching base on that. You know how in the manual trucks, you would skip 1st gear because that would be the low gear, right?
Right.
And then you
Like
just
granny.
go to 2nd. Is it the same thing with these automatics, or what I'm asking is the 1st gear, is it the granny gear, or is that the actual?
1st gear should be your granny gear.
Okay, so it's okay for the truck to take off in 2nd gear?
If you think that's low enough, Chili Dog. I mean, it's always depends on where I was at loaded. Either I'd pull it in 2nd or I'd leave in 1st. But I guess as I was telling you, I liked like an 18 speed. Okay, I might start in 1st, but instead of having to go to 1st and 2nd, I split 1st.
Okay.
And then you might go, after you split that, you might go to second, a whole gear, depending on what kind of material I'm driving in, and do that. So those transmissions can't split that gear.
Correct.
So it's going to go to second, right?
Yeah.
So I would tell you, I think first is the better gear to start out in.
I would agree.
I think second is okay, because it's doing it.
Okay.
And I know, being that transmission, that's a 12-speed. The thing that we have done, though, where I think first would be better also, if I think about it, is we've raised the transmission, not the transmission, sorry. We've raised the rear end gearing to be higher and higher to lower the RPMs of the truck because of fuel efficiency and power. So, we used to run, I'm going to make this part up, like 390s, right? We're down to like a 325 or a 321 to lower the RPM of the truck, because instead of running at 1,800 RPM, right, Super Dave, you've driven other trucks, Chili Dog. Instead of running at 1,800 RPM, we're sitting at 12 or 11 because peak torque is at 900. Mm-hmm. So you don't need to be up in that wasting fuel. So yeah, I think on the newest truck we've got, we've lowered raised the rear end gearage. So I think I would start off in first, Chili Dog. I think I would.
Okay.
I think it's better for it.
Okay, because I have noticed when I go into first gear, it kind of acts like a granny gear.
It struggles to move.
Like it just takes a long time. So when I go into second gear, it actually has a good grab and a good pull, and then it goes into third, and then nice and smooth. But if you do take off in third, it bogs down pretty bad.
Right. Yeah,
I think the granny gear or first gear on an 18-speed was lower than the first gear on these. I really do.
I do too, Dave. Yeah, and I think that's what they, they've released that transmission to try to please everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, you only have 12 gears instead of 18.
Right. And you'd have to get really technical, because I totally understand what you're talking about, Chili Dog. I mean, how many times have you been, you've been heavy, you've been on a hill in a manual transmission, you start off in first, it's a son of a bitch to make the shift into second.
Yeah.
I mean, I've missed it if the hill's steep enough, because it's hard. It doesn't go fast enough to give you enough to make that shift, right?
Correct.
So I'm sure the deep side of the automatic transmission is probably the same. It's going, I got to give you a really deep one, the manufacturers had. And it is difficult for the transmission. The computer, same as us, to make that shift to second.
Okay.
So I think in certain conditions, yeah, I would do the second. If you need that and you need first, and I'm talking soft sand, leave it in first for a while.
Correct.
Go, I don't know.
Take it nice and easy.
Yeah, 300 feet.
Don't mash on the pedal.
Yeah, first and not.
Yeah.
But no, good point, Chili Dog. I totally agree. Because that transmission, it's the same transmission basically as what we've all driven. We're just asking that computer to make the shift.
Yeah.
And it can't when we can't.
And that's what I teach all my trainees is on the first day, it's them getting used to the truck. But then after a couple days, I ask them to start driving it in manual because it's just much better for the truck and yourself in the long term.
Sure. You know what? I agree with that and disagree with that, because I don't think even in manual, Chili Dog, we might get the fuel mileage that the computer is capable of.
Okay.
So I would ask to run it in more on automatic mode. But I totally get, because I'm also, we're also asking, hey, to default to a lower gear. Well, that's not the automatic part of it, right? That's me and you doing it to manual.
Yeah.
So how is that good? So I think a combination of, maybe you're empty and you're cruising down I-70 or I-76, or you're going out to dump a load of Coors, leave it in automatic.
So like on the long road, just automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a habit. It's hard habit to break, because I'm so used to telling the truck what to do.
Yeah.
And then when it's in automatic, I just don't like the way it downshifts, and I don't like the way it up. Sometimes the gears would just change too fast, and it feels like it'll bog down. So
yeah, no,
I guess I'm just used to the higher RPMs. I guess between 15, 16.
Yeah. And it really, see, that's the part that's going to get you better fuel mileage, is going a little lower, because you don't need to. But I totally agree. When came out of Fairplay with one of the Freightliners, left it in all automatic, left the Jake all the way up, it started down the first hill, and it was able to make that first shift to downshift on the first hill when I was on the brakes a little bit. And I mean, it seemed like it was 2,300 RPM, and the truck's just like, woo, just screaming at me. And I'm like, no, you're not. I don't want you to make that shift. No. And I put it right back in manual and go, I know what's easier on the shift. I'm not going to crash the truck. Take it easy. So totally agree. I think that's as you guys are training, it's just education. It's the same thing as talking about the podcast of throwing the truck in neutral. I mean, it's an automatic transmission. So why would you think you'd have to put it in neutral?
It's like people just get in the habit of driving their regular cars,
Exactly. So we learned that about it, that, hey, it's still got a clutch, throw it neutral, and it's better on the transmission.
Yeah. It's our responsibility to teach the new drivers how to properly use this equipment.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I tell people, if you're just running like from Fort Lupton to Denver, you're just running Highway 85, you got 15 stoplights, just leave it in automatic and let the truck do its thing. But if you're coming down from the quarry, you're going to want to put it in manual.
Yeah, all day.
I mean, the best way to come down that canyon, for instance, is put it in manual in 10th gear. And you can just use your Jake stage 1, stage 2. And I'll never forget, I was in one of the old Freightliner automatics, which I didn't have. I had 0039, which was still a 13-speed, and I was driving somebody else's truck, and I was running some salt up to Winter Park, and it was snowing that day. And I had it in automatic. I was just, hey, this is pretty cool, right? I dropped off the top of Berthoud Pass, and that thing shifted a couple of gears, and there was 3 inches of snow on the road, and I freaked out.
Oh, man.
Because the next thing I know, I was going 40 miles an hour, dropping off the top of Berthoud Pass in the snow. So you really need to pay attention, put it in manual. You got to watch your RPMs. You got to watch your speed, just like you would a manual transmission.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Every time we advance, we learn something new.
Yeah.
Right.
Just learn and adapt.
Good stuff, guys. Next on the list, if you have an accident or an incident, you need to let somebody know right away. We just talked about this a few weeks ago, but inform somebody on the leadership team right away of all incidents and accidents, no matter how big or small. Okay, if one of us doesn't answer, for example, you shoot me a text message because you hit something and I didn't answer the text, call somebody else before leaving the scene, the pit, the plant. Thinking it's no big deal. It may not be a big deal to you, but it could be a big deal to us. Basically, we have a lot of brand new equipment, and if you scratch a mirror, let's say, and you're like, oh, it's no big deal, it's just got a little scratch on the mirror. Well, it didn't have a scratch on the mirror when we bought it. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't your fault and, somebody hit your mirror out on the road and you just let that driver go, I mean, that's a pain in the butt for us to have to track them down, try to get reimbursed for a mirror cover that could be hundreds of dollars or something like that. Pretend it's your personal vehicle. If somebody scratched or damaged your personal vehicle, no matter how big or small, would it be a big deal to you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
and it's always that thing, too, no matter how the little scratch or ding is on your personal stuff, Jim, it's the first thing you notice on your car.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
Every single time. Yeah. When I walk up to one of my vehicles, it's like all I see is a little scratch or the little ding, or the little imperfection that wasn't there when you bought it like that. Yeah. So 100% right on that.
I remember a Bronco I had, Jam, loved it. It was my first, in fact, I think it was my first new car I ever got. And I was at the car wash, the enclosed one with the sprayer, and I'm spraying at the car wash, and I have the wand in my hand, and the line is caught on the top of the deal.
Right.
And I whipped the hose, and at the same time I took the wand and poked it in my fender, hit my fender. And it was, the smallest, pea size or even smaller little dimple. But no matter where you walked coming down the car, you could see that little ding. And I mean, it was there, and I didn't have it fixed. I don't know why I didn't have it fixed, but anyway, it just got it. It made me mad every day. Mainly because of my stupidity, but.
And then you think, oh, well, maybe other people, maybe it's just me. And like the other day, I have my Ram here and I'm walking out and there's like this perfect like ding on the bottom of like one of the parts of my truck. And as soon as Scooby walks out, what happened right there? It's like, well, maybe that's a little bit more noticeable than I thought.
Well, not that you're not all my people, but you know who my people is? BD.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what he can sniff out?
He'll smell anything.
Right? So you got a spot of rust on your bumper back there. What are you talking about? Right there. And I'm like, oh, thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah, he could smell a scratch in your paint.
Right?
Yep. Right. That's funny.
Oh, man.
Let's see. Next on the list, tearing off mud flaps. Chili Dog, do you tear mud flaps off?
Nope.
Have you ever torn a mud flap off?
Yep.
How did you end up tearing a mud flap off?
Backing up
what
the
happened.
piles.
Too close?
Too close.
Okay. How do we avoid tearing mud flaps off?
Being aware of where you're backing up. Don't get too close, especially when you're dumping.
How far away should you be?
What do you guys say? Like 3 feet? 4 feet?
6 feet.
6 feet?
Yeah, if you're 6 feet, I mean, if there's room and you're not really trying to keep things tight, I mean, when you 6 feet away, I mean, your pile is going to touch the other pile, no doubt. Super Dave?
I would back up a little closer, Jim.
Okay.
That's what's up.
There's the thing though, Jam, is you're absolutely right. You want to never tear a mud flap off, dump 6 feet away.
Right.
But if you're doing your job and you're doing it well, you're backing within a foot of it, but you're not tearing your mud flaps off, right, Chili Dog?
Correct.
And you're making that pile as pretty as you can. You dump off, you're not slamming the tailgate off the pile. You're not making little snail trails with your mud flaps. There's the skill where how good can I make this pile without doing any of those things?
Sure.
But if you're learning and you want to be safe, 6 feet. Quit. Have you ever tore a mud flap off for any other reason, Chili Dog?
Yes. I've torn a mud flap off because I was backing up into something and the mud flap was so long that it got cut underneath the tire. And as I backed up, of course, just ripped right off.
In soft stuff, right?
Correct.
Probably. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. But otherwise, should you ever rip a mud flap off?
No, you shouldn't.
Same thing if you let your trailer down, like if you set your tractor brakes and you're letting your trailer down rolling backwards, you could turn it.
And the flap's too long. Yeah.
The flap gets underneath that tire.
Yeah. I know 6 feet sounds like a long distance away, but think about it.
It's not for a huge pile.
It's
not
this
for
big.
27
this
tons.
big. I mean, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
So, but 3 feet, that sounds good to me. And let's see, next thing on the list, when you're pulling into a pit or a plant, you need to be 100% focused. That means no phone use whatsoever, even on a headset. Just to tell you a little story, I had a couple drivers come to me the other day and say, hey, we were at this plant the other day, and the loader operator, he sounded like he was giving one of our drivers a hard time and was like a little bit extra. I'm like, really? Okay, well, I know that guy. Let me give him a call and see what was going on. So I get to talk to him, and he's like, oh, yeah, well, that driver was completely distracted by his headset. I'm like, really? So then I pulled 3 videos, and, the first 2 videos he didn't have a headset, but as soon as he got into the pit, he grabbed his phone. Those both times. Not when he was dumping or anything, but then the third video, he did have a headset on, and he had like a headset that covers both your ears.
Okay.
So he kept having to move the one ear off to talk on the CB radio. But if I was a loader operator and somebody was talking on their headset and they weren't doing the job perfectly, I would be upset too. Now, if that driver didn't have a headset on and he wasn't distracted and he wasn't in the bin 100% perfect, and the load operator's riding him a little bit extra, and he's a new driver, I could say, hey, can we give our drivers a little bit of grace when they're brand new? Mm-hmm. But if you're not doing your job and I pull video and you're on the phone while you're in the pit, I had to call that loader operator back up and apologize and be like, hey, you were right. Actually I texted him, you were right. Our driver was distracted and I'm sorry. So let's do our job 100%. Let's be 100% focused, and you got to stay off the phone completely inside a pit or a plant. You got a lot of drive time between picking up and delivering. That's the time where you could be on your headset.
I got to jump in there, Jam. I really hope that driver doesn't use those headphones while he's driving, because that is illegal.
I was about to mention that.
You can't have that in a commercial motor vehicle. You can't have both earbuds in, let alone over the ear headset. I mean, you'll get pulled over and get a big ass ticket for that.
Yep.
So I hope that's not the case.
Yeah, and I think, we talk about it also, windows down and listening to that. And it was kind of funny because Troy and Dustin were talking last night in the meeting about the rodeo, and they were talking about dust in the cab and how clean it was. And actually, they were talking about smoking cigarettes because I guess Rick Gray has quit smoking.
Oh,
and
nice.
Right, congratulations.
Great. Good job, Rick.
But he said one of the things he noticed is he doesn't have to wipe the ash or the stuff off the everything in the truck.
Yeah.
Everything in the truck. And
Ash goes
it says
everywhere.
how it stunk. And those guys were all joking that. And I told everybody here at the table will agree, because whenever you step out of the truck and you got the door open, that's when the air dryer goes off.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law, right? And there's this cloud of dust, and it rolls inside the cab and all that kind of stuff. But I guess I wanted to mention is, and I know the dust and the elements and everything, but it is so much safer to crack or roll down those windows when you're backing up, when you're basically doing anything in that truck.
Any maneuver at all.
Yeah.
Yep, whether you're dumping, whether you're backing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're on the phone and you're dumping, you can't really pay attention to both things. I mean, people think they can multitask, but if you're focused on coming up with words in a conversation, you're not really focused on being safe. So
yeah, through the years, Jam, I remember I don't know how many times I'd call somebody on the radio and they go, hang on, I'm dumping. Right. And I love that. I got all the time in the world to wait for you to get back with me on the radio. It should be the same thing on the phone. Just shouldn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
I'm guilty. I've been on the phone with my wife on my headset, of course, or my earbud or whatever, driven right past my exit.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get off back there.
Well, there goes my exit.
And then I'll get mad. And then my wife, Jackie, will be like, see you later.
Yeah, we talked about it on the podcast. It's like, when you haul the east plant all day and they want one load into the west plant. Where did I turn to with the last load? Going to the east plant. And then you are pissed. I got to turn around. Right. Man.
Exactly. So we launched our safety campaign. We have everybody signed up except for 8 drivers, and they'll be getting another notification today to come and participate in that. But what is the root of the blind spot accidents, Jim? Why are we having blind spot accidents? And I know me and you, we went back and forth on this a little bit during the week. Was it a conversation with? Oh, I can't remember. Never mind.
Yeah. I just didn't want to, just leaving it safe for the drivers.
Right.
And he wasn't, the conversation always starts out with lots of different drivers, Jam, just because you mentioned that, is they think they're ratting somebody out, or they feel guilty about, complaining about maybe their other fellow drivers. Mm-hmm. And I had a great conversation with this driver, but we talked about, we put this campaign out, safety has no blind spot. We've done the bracelets, we put the flyers on the fence. We're talking about it on the podcast. We announced it on the radio, and his point to it was, well, are we missing the root of the accident, the root cause of the accident of not doing the blind spot? And he's like, let me explain. And he even blamed us, not blamed us, but he mentioned, when we call, hey, can you go get a load for us? Can you get one more load? Can we, dispatch says, hey, can you make it back to the plant and get that late load? You got 15 minutes. So us, or JFW, are we putting you in a hurry where you might make a lane change? So his point was, the root of that is being in a hurry, Then as we discuss things, and I discussed it with you, Jam, a little bit. So also is the root, are you at the end of the day and you're tired and you just want to get back to the yard? And so the root of it is you're tired and want to get back, so you didn't look in that mirror? But or let's say he mentioned, the driver also mentioned, he goes, I stay in the slow lane most of the time. I'm not out in the fast lane. And he said, I see our drivers in the fast lane all the time. And he said, the funny thing is he said, people are just trying to get around him in the fast lane, or that truck in the fast lane. Right. And they're trying to get around me in the slow lane because I'm going slow. And he said, so is the root of the cause is maybe you should never be in the middle or the fast lane, and then you don't have a blind spot? to get back over? He said, is that what we need to talk about? So there's 3 root causes, but how do you address that? Do we not send anybody ever for a late load?
So
we only work till 1 o'clock, so you're not tired at the end of the day.
So one thing I'd like to look at, and I could look back at the videos and see what times these accidents actually happened. Were they always on a happy load? Were some of them in the morning? So
they're all over the board.
That would be something I'd want to look at. And I know you and I talked about it, but we'll just talk about it on a podcast. To me, we're addressing the issue no matter what the cause is. If you do these 7 or 8 or 10 things that are on the list, you will not have a blind spot accident. And it doesn't matter if you're in a rush. It doesn't matter if you're tired, right? When we teach people things, we don't teach them what not to do. Like, that's something I learned with firearms instructions. You don't want to show somebody the wrong way and be like, don't do this. They may have not even known about that before. We're just going to teach you the right way. And no matter what's going on in your day, if you do these steps, you won't have a blind spot accident. So, but I'll do that research, Jim, and maybe we could see what time they actually happen. I mean, I know one of them was late in the day.
Yeah, I
know one of them that was early in the morning.
Yeah, I know the one was like at 10 o'clock. I know the last one we had, and I don't know what time it was, and I discussed it with this driver, was that there was no speed involved. His following distance was huge. Right. He wasn't in the fast lane. He was in the middle lane. He needed to get over on his exit, and I'll drive in the middle lane. I'm not saying you should stay in your slow lane the whole way. But the thing is about that accident is he never looked.
Right.
Now what the root cause of him never.
So what would that root cause if you don't look?
Yeah, right. How do you address the root when it was he never looked?
Right.
He looked in the mirror down his trailer twice or 3 times, but never looked at the corner mirror. Right. Never looked at the corner. And it was the fact of leaning up, I don't know what it is, 2 inches.
Right.
To look at that. So I didn't argue with this driver on that point of it because he's never seen the film.
Sure.
Right? And so I have that one more step of knowledge of I don't know how you fix the root to get that person to look that one step.
I got to jump in here because this is killing me. Anytime somebody does things 100 times or 500 times, you drop your guard. And the word for that, and this is my opinion, it's complacency. And you're busy driving that truck. You drive 500 miles a day. And you're not going to be 100% alert the whole time you're driving, for 12 hours a day. But it's just like, when we think, what time of day does it happen? What is that driver busy doing when it happens? All of those things are kind of side effects, I think. The real root is that you're not paying attention and you're complacent because you've done it 1,000 times. So you're just sitting there on remote control going down the road, but before any maneuver, before you're dumping, before you're backing, before you're changing lanes, before you're getting off an exit, before you're merging onto a highway, you've got to stop and say, oh, I'm doing a maneuver here. I better pay attention. Complacency, I think, is the root.
I totally agree with you, Dave, and I have to bring up because I want to brag on both of you. Chili Dog, you too, is what I'm getting at is, Dave, I don't know, you haven't driven for maybe, the last 3 or 4 years steadily, but 25 years in the truck at least.
8 years, Tim.
Time flies when you're having fun,
sure
right,
does.
Dave? So, but let's say 25 years of driving. I know you've never had an accident, right, of the front end, a blind spot accident. Never had a blind spot accident.
No, sir.
So Chili Dog here is sitting next to on my right here. I happen to know because we just celebrated. He is a 2-time Silent Warrior recipient, okay? So one of those qualifications is no accidents.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
We slowly let things slip out, right?
You let the cat out of the bag.
Right? Everybody will be doing that, right? Oh my God, would that be wonderful, right?
Attaboy, Chili Dog.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. So 2-time recipient of no accident-free, so obviously no accidents plus no blind spot change.
Right.
And you guys were all there. I asked the group last week, what's the secret? And a lot of you guys yelled back, don't change lanes.
Right. There is some weight to that. And to
Right?
the driver that you had the conversation with, to his point, if he's just in the right lane and he's not changing lanes, he's not going to have that right hand lane change accident. Now, of course, we're going to use the middle lane. Some of us will use the left lane. But if you're the driver that is continuously changing lanes
Yes.
from the middle to the left to the middle to the right,
You
just going around traffic
increase
the whole
your
day,
chances.
you increase your chances. And honestly, that's not really our culture.
No.
You know, when I'm going up to Fry, I pick the middle lane. I stay there because I know there's going to be slow
And
traffic.
you know what
in the
else you're
right,
doing when
and
you
I don't
change
go in the
those
left
lanes?
lane because you're not supposed to, right? So
You're rushing yourself because you're like, oh my gosh, I need to change lanes, and you know that leads to disaster.
what's your secret, Chili Dog?
My secret? I don't know.
You don't know?
I just
Because you're
I-
chilling.
What do you do when you change, when you're making a right-hand lane change? What is your procedure?
So when I used to work with my uncles, he had nothing but long noses, and one of the things that he'd always tell me was, you need to sit up, especially when you're gonna make that right hand turn or right hand lane change, especially with the nose that long. You have to, man. There's so many times where I would just be scooting over, and next you know I catch a car. So out of habit, I just look over, and that's just my habit. It's just there's nothing else I could say. It's just a habit that I have, just to look over to the right.
What'd you think about the Safety Has No Blind Spot campaign? Did you read through that contract? Did you agree with all those points?
Yes, I did read through all that, and I had notes about it, but I must have not
Okay.
put them in here. But I understand and I get it 100% where you guys are coming from, and what were like? Brother Dave was mentioned something about that is our number one accident or something around that.
It is Chili Dog. Yeah. that's what-
And that's kind of scary, to tell you the truth. And I put myself in that situation where if you were to hit somebody, that is life-changing, not just for you, but for them and anybody involved in that situation.
You mean if you injure them?
If you injure them, or even if you hit them and you spin them out, or you just tap them, you've traumatized somebody.
They could have PTSD. For
Yeah,
sure.
and I take that very seriously because my family drives on the roads. I drive on the road. I do this for a living, and imagine, like, let's just say if I were to do that, it would drastically affect my family because I just caused an accident that's going to go on my record and potentially hurt my career. And I think of all that stuff. It's not just get in a truck. It's not just to get in a car and drive. We're actually driving big trucks coming in at 80,000 pounds. And a lot of people tend to forget that we're driving if you kind of like, I don't know if I should put it in these terms, but it's kind of like a weapon if you think about it, if you're not using it in the right way. And
The insurance companies will say that about an automobile as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're driving a 3,000 pound weapon.
now imagine
We're driving an 80,000 pound
Yeah,
weapon.
and to me,
Yeah.
something my uncle taught me, shout out to Juan from Phantom Trucking and Jerry from Titan Trucking. Something they've always told me is never lose respect for the truck. Because once you lose respect for the truck, you know,
Disaster.
yeah. When you become comfortable, don't become comfortable. That's the thing I'm trying to get at.
That's
Once you
the complacency, like Super
Yeah.
Dave mentioned. Yeah, it's just a great way to put it. Chili Dog is the respect. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good stuff. On a brighter note, and more positive news,
Sorry.
anybody want to volunteer to read the acuity letter?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
I can.
Yeah.
do it.
So we have our insurance company, Acuity. They actually have people follow our trucks once in a while, and when they're done, they send us a report typed in a letter form, and Jim's gonna go ahead and read that, and yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Sure. I guess to lead it off, Jim, and I know Brother Dave made sure we had it in the podcast here. But we're Chili Dog. We just all touched upon it as, our families are out there, our friends are out there. You never know who's watching us. We talk about being in the public eye. We talk about the representation that we make to our brethren, our brotherhood and sisterhood of other drivers. So our insurance company, just like Jam said, they like to follow one of our trucks or a couple of our trucks or whatever they can run across, because it gives them a sense of what our culture is here at JFW. It's a true deal. So I mentioned before we started this, I'll skip to the end of the letter here. This certain gentleman, he followed our trucks for 2 hours and 17 minutes and 32.1 miles is how long he was behind two of our trucks following them, which is, an extensive report, basically, or I guess in 2 hours, you got a lot of time to screw up.
It was thorough.
Right? Thorough. Thank you, Jim. Yeah. So just to get going here. So it's addressed to Brother Dave here. This letter is a confirmation of road observation conducted on two of your drivers on March 23rd, 23. As a service to our insureds, which their families basically, Lost Control is always on the lookout for your drivers to observe their driving behavior. It is difficult to supervise drivers while they are out on the road. We talk about that, you guys. We send you out all by yourself. You're in your office all by yourself all day long. No supervision as such. Therefore, these random observations are a reminder to the drivers that the company is not the only group that may observe their habits, whether good or bad. The general public is also watching on a regular basis. The company logo on the side of the truck is just an excuse for some random driver to call and complain about anything they feel your driver or trucking industry is doing, basically. And, how well written.
We experience that.
We experience that. That's what, there's the big name on it, and they're big, shiny red trucks, right? The whole deal, you guys. So just to quickly go over this, on this day, this observation, the following information was observed. Road condition, the weather was dry and sunny. He found two of our trucks running together. Seat belts were worn in both the trucks. Condition of the truck and trailers were both clean. All lights functioning properly. The start time was 1:30 p.m. He was able to pick them up at the Morrison Quarry. The route was 285 to C470 to Santa Fe there. The speeds limits was 55 to 65 miles per hour for the majority of the trip. Maximum speeds observed was 66 and a 65, was a 60 and a 55. So
like that.
Good stuff there, right?
Good, huh?
The average speed while on the highway for both trucks was 55. So even you're in a 55 and a 65 mile an hour zone. Both time average was 55. Turn signals used in every lane change. Both drivers. Space cushion observed. The driver of the one truck was noted to have good space cushioning overall through the trip, but was seen having a reduced space cushion while on C470. Still excellent. The other driver was noted to have excellent space cushioning for the entire trip. Kudos to this driver. Noted several times when the vehicles would get in front of the truck or change lanes in front of that truck, the driver would slow down to regain adequate space cushioning. Great to see. And, he ends the letter here. It is encouraged that you notify these drivers of the observation made and discuss the results with them. It is also a good topic to bring up during safety meetings to alert all drivers that they too may be a subject of a road observation. We appreciate your efforts to minimize the risk and loss of injury. Feel free to contact me at phone number and stuff like that. And he ends with here. Thank you for partnering with Acuity and just well done, you guys. And I think that's the culture we lead to. I think, again, that's what these podcasts are about. As a shout out, the two drivers were Ray
Yep.
and his trainee, Joe Mondragon.
Yep.
And so thank you guys, for representing every one of us, every one of your brotherhood and sisterhood out on the road. Chili Dog sitting next to me, he drives every day. They just represented you out there just like you do, Chili Dog. And so
I appreciate that too, man.
Yeah. Good job, you guys, and
good job.
and well done. Love to see that. Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better than a bad report, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to read the good ones, right?
Yeah, and especially to have a trainer with his trainee out there doing it the right way. And the trainee was following Ray, but that was a driver that he said he had great space cushioning the whole time. Kudos to that. I mean, That's a brand new guy here. That's amazing.
And we've all followed somebody, and so Joe is having great, spatial awareness, and he's still following. I mean, I've followed some people sometimes, and I'm up their butts because I'm like, I don't want to lose you, and this guy's training and all that kind of stuff, and still had that spatial awareness. Fantastic.
Yeah. Another positive note, TJ Leonard, he's an avid listener to the podcast and also married to Joanne Leonard. He was in heavy traffic the other day and ran across 0011. Ron Bugler said he had good following distance and speed, so good job, Ron.
And I keep interrupting here, Jam, but when we're doing the right thing, we stick out.
Yes.
Or when you see what you should be doing, you're like a sore thumb or a red light. It's amazing how we stick out doing the right things when I guess that so many people are doing the bad things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Next thing on the list, I wrote down how to help Amber. So, as you all know, we had Amber on the podcast a few weeks ago, and we told her story about her missing mom again. And we've actually had a lot of people comment and come upstairs to talk to her. There's been a lot of suggestions on ways to help, and let's get a petition, and all these things to try to help find her mom. So I asked Amber, Amber, how can we help you? What do you want exactly? And she wrote an email, so I'll just read that to everybody. And she said, I wanted to take time out to show my appreciation to everyone that had listened to my mom's story and for reaching out to me personally wanting to help. For a while now, my family and I have walked this road alone, battling to keep seeing the light, when at times that light just keeps getting dimmer. You all have helped us see that light again. Because of all of you, we will never battle alone. Not only have we gained a new family, but we have gained an army. From the bottom of my heart, I am forever grateful. Then she wrote, Jam, I will be making flyers and bring them in. If people want to take them, they are welcome to do so. That will help us a lot. I'll try to have them by next Monday. Resharing any podcast, her Facebook page, help find Terry Ackerman, and reposting anything they find on social media regarding my mom's story. That will help keep it circulating. They can also call, text, or email me anytime if they have any ideas. I will take it. So, good stuff there. Thanks, Amber.
That's a powerful. Every time, just reading it, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just bugs me because something bad happened, and we need to find the bad people.
Yeah, and we got to it. I'll tell you what. I mean, I feel like this has stirred some things up. I mean, behind the scenes, I think we got some people working on some stuff, and I'd like to see this thing come to an end.
Find
her mom and find out what happened and go from there.
Yeah, resolution has to be such a closure for Amber and her family would be huge. Yep. I just can't imagine that.
Yep.
I can't walk in her shoes. I tell you.
I haven't.
Yeah.
So. All right. Special guest here in the house, Chili Dog, going on 3 years here at JFW. I like to say that we have Sammy's dad on, right? But you're also a husband to Melissa. Why do they call you Chili Dog?
Why do they call me Chili Dog?
Why?
I got a little story. Nothing crazy, but the reason why. Mm-hmm. So back in the day, Oswaldo and I used to hang out with a bunch of cats that instead of calling each other bro or dude, they would call each other Chili Dog. So coming to JFW and linking back up with Oswaldo, because me and him haven't talked in a while, we were bringing up the memories in the past, and we just started calling, between me and him, we started calling each other Chili Dog. And then just one day, out of the blue, rolled into Plant 2, and I would call everybody Chili Dog on the radio. That was like my thing, right? So anyways, I roll into Plant 2, and I don't know if it was Leo or Oswaldo, or the gist of it, somebody was in front of me, and I hear Chewy key up, the loader at Plant 2. He's like, hey, what's up? Where's Chili Dog? And it just flew over my head. I was like, oh, they're using my word. That's cool. I like it. Spread love. And I roll in. Hey, Chewy, got a load of rock for you. He's like, hey, Chili Dog, there you are. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, did he just refer to me as Chili Dog? And ever since then, it just stuck hard.
That's good.
I forgot that you and us knew each other because I think we doubled you guys up.
Yeah.
And I remember Oswaldo, he didn't really like to have writers. And I was like, this guy's pretty cool. And we introduced you guys, and it was like long lost lovers.
Yeah, ran into him, gave me a hug. Yeah, we didn't talk for a long time, so it was cool seeing him again.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, when I met him back in the day, he didn't have a beard, so seeing him with the beard, I was like, whoa, looking good.
Yeah.
Now you. Go ahead.
I heard Jam ask that question the other day, or I don't know if he asked it to you or was talking about asking you that question, and all I could think of, and funny, Chili Dog, is we had, remember the old man, Super Dave, and he would stop and get a hot dog every day, Doc would, but he's bound and determined to put mustard on it, Chili Dog. And you know how mustard and ketchup on a hot dog. Well, every night he'd come in with this big mustard stain on his shirt. We're like Doc. You can't. Do you need a napkin? Do you have to put mustard on your hot dog? And he always had a voice, and when he, instead of a nickname for a Chili Dog, he would always go, that somebody's just a dumb dick, is what that was what he'd say, no matter who you were. It's just a blah blah blah, and he'd go, I was out, and then he'd call himself that. He goes, I spilled mustard all over me. You know what I'm saying? And it was like he was hilarious, but every day he'd come in with mustard on his shirt. So
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, he was a unique cat, wasn't he?
he was.
Now, you had another CB handle around here, and that was Aladdin. And I know, why don't you tell that story, how you got that nickname?
Aladdin. It comes from a good friend. I still talk to him. Good old Tex.
Yeah.
Shout out to you, man. I miss you. Miss working with you. But he's the one that gave me Aladdin. One day, I remember it was me. It was myself, Oswaldo, and Tex. We were going out when we were hauling that chicken manure going out at Center, Colorado. And we're just cruising, and Oswaldo was just talking to Tex back and forth, and my first name gets brought up, and my first name is Abdallah. So Tex was like, "What? Can you say that again?" I was like, "It's Abdallah." And he's like, "No, I can't pronounce it. I'm just gonna call you Aladdin." And that's how the story of Aladdin stuck, and it stuck pretty good too until Chili Dog.
Chili Dog?
Oh,
It's funny. I don't think Aladdin and Abdallah sound anything alike. Where did he come up with that?
That's the funny thing, because if you know Tex, it just
Oh yeah.
came out of wherever.
Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah, so yeah, that's the
a good
story.
It's a good story.
And what does a Chili Dog do on his time off?
What do I do on my time off? Well, I for some reason I really like working on my personal vehicles. Like I just took on this project a while ago. I lowered my pickup truck, and I feel like I just outgrew it, and I decided to go back to stock suspension. So that's what's been preoccupying me over the weekend, these last couple weekends. Just going back to stock. And shout out to Edward. He came through to help me out, and I couldn't have done it without him because I had to redo the axle because it was over the leaf springs, and man, it was a pain in the butt because I had to put them underneath, and if he wasn't there, it would have sucked.
Good stuff.
And yeah, and then my wife likes to do a lot of planned family time. We like to go out and explore. For example, I believe last weekend we took the little one out to the Denver Museum of what is it, nature, science and nature.
Science and nature.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we went there, and the Shama, she was having a good time. I have a little funny story about what she said.
What's that?
So we're going through the dinosaur section, and then there's a corner. In the corner, there's this big old dinosaur. I forgot what it was. It was I forgot what it was, but it had 3 horns. A triceratops, I think it was.
Triceratops, yep.
So we hit this corner, and without hesitation, the little one says, "What the F?"
Oh, really?
And I just stood there, and my wife I just stood there and just thought about it. My wife just looked at her, amazed. What did you say?
She probably gets that from her mama.
Oh, wait, it gets better. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, Mom. I tried to say, what the heck? What the heck? And I'm just cracking up. And I tell her, dang, honey, what happened? She's like, well, it's your fault. You cuss all the time, Dad.
Oh, man.
Oh, you can't throw me on the bus like that.
Wow. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, I could definitely tell you love your girls a lot. So good stuff.
Right on, thank
Now,
you.
you are a 2-time Silent Warrior recipient. What does that honor mean to you, and how hard has it been for you to achieve this? And we're not going to talk about the rest of the criteria to get that award, but was it hard for you?
Honestly, it wasn't hard because I just go out there and just, like Brother Dave says it, just do your job. It's not that hard. And this Silent Warrior title, I think I like to think of it as a badge of honor, honestly. Even though I don't see you guys personally on a day-to-day basis, or I don't hear from you guys, it lets me know that you guys see me and you guys see the hard work that I put in and put out. And it's just a reminder, like, to keep doing the good work. Yeah, watching us. Super Dave gave me the good.
I was just
I'm
giving
watching
him
you.
the eye.
Yeah,
we see you.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it.
I was going to say it's kind of, I mean, for you it's easy because it's in your nature, to do a good job and to do your best every day.
Well, I appreciate that.
Other people maybe not so much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just listening to you, Chili Dog, and we've had other great guests on, same as you, and I like to listen to the people and stuff like that, and this comes easy to you, but the thing you talk about and what other guests have talked about is your family and your friends and respecting the truck and different things like that. So your core values that are difficult lead you to this, to me, and then that becomes easy because of your values. And I don't think so many people realize that, and that's what I like listening to guests. We've had a lot of guests on that have been married a long time, and you ask about that, and they joke about communication, and they joke about saying yes, just the answer is always yes and kind of stuff. But again, they have a core value of what that relationship means to them and the respect they have. And I think that makes the rest of your life easy is what I'm trying to get at. So.
Right on. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, great job, Chili Dog. So Super Dave already mentioned earlier, and clearly you're friends with Edward, but Super Dave had mentioned that Edward thought about leaving, and there's some people that decide to leave JFW, and we just kind of let them go. Like, okay, like, we'll take you 2 weeks, and no hard feelings. Like, they'll still leave the door open and they're welcome back, but we don't really fight for them. But Edward was a guy that we just didn't really want to let go. We didn't want to see him go. He brings a lot of, he's definitely our culture. You said he's got a good heart. He's a kind person, and he does a great job. And I called him twice to try to, talk him out of it. And, I know a couple other people talked to him, but he specifically, when he called me the other day, he mentioned you and Oswaldo, made him think a lot. So one is, how'd you do it? No, I'm just kidding. And then why'd you do it? Why would you, if somebody wanted to leave JFW, why would you prevent them from doing that? Why would you try to save them?
Well, I don't feel like how would I put this? All I really did was just talk to him, and I expressed myself about my experience here in almost 3 years, and I just kind of gave him my rundown of what I've gone through here and what I like about here, stuff like that. And we just sat down and we just we just weighed the pros and cons, and the conclusion is that is it worth leaving a good company where you are really good at, like, you're established, like he's established pretty good, and he's a go-to guy. He's like he's a kind-hearted person, and I asked him, like, do you really want to start all over? Not in a bad way or in a good, it was just something to think about, just because it's a big decision, honestly. And he just sat there and thought about it, and I didn't force him down. You're like, hey, you're gonna stay here, I just made him think about his decision. That's it, in a good way.
Nice. What are some of the things that you like? What are the pros?
What are the pros?
Yeah. We'll get to the cons too, but I want to hear the pros first.
So when I came to apply here, I remember I reached out to you on social media, and you said come through. I came through, sat down, and then you guys talked about, oh, we're a big family and this and that, and I'm like, yeah, right. But came in, and it's true. I was welcome, open arms. Any questions, you guys were there. Dispatch wasn't hard, as in waiting for dispatch and on your toes. Training was cool. I had Paco as a trainer. Big shout out to him. He's a badass. And whenever I needed help, I knew I could reach out, and I didn't have to do it on my own. And being in this industry, when you have to figure things out on your own, it could be intimidating. So I really like the support behind everything out here, especially the equipment too. I really like how up to date, and you guys have A+ equipment, honestly. I just really like the environment here, honestly. You could just come into the office and just talk to anybody, and they'll treat you like family, and I really like that.
Very nice. Yeah, I remember Paco made a comment the other day that his cheeks would hurt after a day of training with you because you guys would laugh so much. You hurt his face.
That's an awesome problem to have.
Yeah, right? You two together, I could just love to be a fly on the wall in that truck, and just no doubt you guys are laughing all day long.
Yeah, Paco's, he says some random stuff, man. I'll tell you that.
He does have, I was thinking that because he has those. Because he loses me sometimes. He'll say something to me, and I'm like, what? Oh, shit, that's funny, right? Or something like that. What are you talking about?
Hey,
yeah.
Comes out of nowhere.
Right? Out of nowhere, yeah.
So you said you guys listed the pros and cons for Edward. What's the cons?
The cons?
Yeah. Why are you looking at me like that? You said you listed the pros and the cons. What's the cons?
Yeah.
Keep it real.
The pros and cons, like the cons, it just came down to it's kind of hard to like really put something on the cons, honestly, because
you don't want to get fired.
It's not that I want to get fired. It's just when you put me on the spot like that, it's kind of hard to think of it because there's so much positivity here that it's. I like when I brought this to him, it wasn't we were shooting the pros and cons to each other. It was just more of me telling him, like, you need to look at your pros and cons because your pros and cons can be different than mine.
Okay.
So
basically,
to answer your question, I don't know about the cons, honestly, because I don't know his cons compared to mine. You know what I mean?
You're telling us we need to have Edward on the podcast, and he could tell us the cons.
Yeah. Okay. Edwin, you need to come on the podcast, bro.
You just said it. What a great point. Every person's going to have different pros or cons.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know?
So.
Okay. I like that.
So I can't list. I can't speak for him.
I think there's always going to be cons. I mean, nothing's perfect.
Nothing's perfect.
You know?
Yeah, we don't. Just so you know, we don't get offended by the cons.
Oh no, I know. It's just,
JFW is not for everybody. This job is not for everybody. It's for us.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. I could say a bunch of stuff that other people don't like, the hours, or they don't like certain pits or stuff like that. But to me, it's just I take it day by day, and I really like working here. Honestly,
That's good. Have you ever thought about leaving?
yeah.
How
Just,
c-
just kidding.
Oh.
Honestly, I haven't that hasn't crossed my mind, because my wife and I come from like humble beginnings, and we're just. When I applied here, I was looking for a place where I could stay and build, and you guys have given me that and some.
Awesome.
So, but that me and my wife do have a dream eventually to own our own truck and to start our own little family business eventually, not anytime soon.
Yeah. That's a pretty common dream in this industry.
Yeah.
When you're a driver, that's like the ultimate to have your own vehicle and your own truck and be your own boss. I mean, that's America right there.
It works out for some people and it doesn't for others.
Yeah.
I mean, just knowing you could probably make it work. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I mean, there's some people leave, they'll start their own little trucking business and they make less money. You know,
Yeah.
at the end, when it's all said, they could have been a company driver with less headaches and, you know, but there's other guys go out there and kill it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it just depends on the individual. And, you know, if that day comes for you, you know, you'll have our blessing and we'll stand behind you and pray for you and wish you the best.
Well, I
But,
appreciate that. Thank
yeah,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah, I think just not to interrupt your time, Chili Dog, but I think where we get upset when you ask about the cons is we've had people quit and go, "Oh, no, nobody helped me," you know, and you're just like, "Oh my gosh, we have you guys as trainers helping. We have Dave's interview. We have JR. We have all this stuff." And that's the con that just bothers you or, you know, "Oh, you didn't tell me that's what you guys do." No,
Did you see the trailers? Because they are dump trucks.
right. I'm pretty sure, Super Dave went over that the first, 30 minutes he talked to you, that kind of stuff. That's the cons that are infuriating. But the other stuff, it just gives you a chance to work on, something to be better with.
No doubt.
Yeah. And to really find out cons here, you have to be here a year and really give it a go to figure out if it's for you or not.
Man, Brother Dave's got to be just, when he hears that,
I'm sure he'll listen probably on because he's out of town at Kenworth. I'm sure he'll listen to that because you're spot on. It takes all 4 seasons or a year to learn what's going on here. Yeah.
And then coming into it, I already knew it because getting my Class A, I started doing sand and gravel. So,
I have to disagree with that. I would say it takes at least 2 or 3 economic cycles before you really realize what this place is all about.
what does that mean? 3 years?
He lost me too.
10 years?
No, when you go through an amazingly big growth spurt in the city of Denver, like in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And then you go through the Great Recession in the early 2000s. Then you go through a pandemic. And so you put all that together and you see the grit and the substance of this company and the people.
You got to think of it long term.
Yeah. First line of the creed. Together we face and overcome. All that stands before us. So good point, Super
Which
Dave.
might take a long time.
A little bit.
I guess a long time. It takes a lot of experiences. And usually that's over quite a bit of time.
Yeah. Chili Dog, is there anything you'd like to change about JFW? If you could wave your magic wand.
If I could change something here at JFW,
Oh, he's got it written down. Oh, boy.
I just want to make sure I don't get fired. One thing that I would change, it would be to give the leasers the opportunity to go to more pits and different plants to be able to spread the pie more equally throughout the company. Because I know that the leasers tend to stay in certain areas the majority of the time. And I understand why, but
Why?
that's just what I would change.
Why? Why? You say you understand why. Why do we do that?
Is it their equipment?
It's their equipment.
Yeah.
But then I
was
believe if you were to
well said.
lease on to JFW, I feel like you should be held at the same standard as us.
I like that.
Yeah, well put. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Something to work on.
Yeah.
I mean, and I agree.
So just if that confuses you, what Chili Dog is saying, it's unfair. So we have some leasers that they don't go to the mountains
Correct.
because their equipment, maybe their brakes, maybe they don't have good Jake brakes, maybe, they don't want to go through a port, so they don't go everywhere, which takes away from our drivers going to where they're at. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
Okay. Good point.
And it is a great point, and I also know too that I've listening to Linda or Dispatch too that Fry's is overwhelming for them too, but they have nobody to train them like we do. So a lot of times they're like, I can't, which is sure it's an excuse, you guys, because a couple times up there you get it down no matter what, but it is very overwhelming.
I could do it, so can you.
Yeah, you just keep yelling on the radio, will somebody help me? Sooner or later a loader will get mad and help you.
And I also noticed too that a lot of JFW personnel at job sites, or let's say plants, they'd get upset with the leasers instead of going down to communicate with them, because majority of the time when leasers are coming through, they don't know how the process works.
Exactly.
We've been doing it for however long, and we're starting the season again, and we're starting to get more leasers coming into plants, and a lot of them are new cats, new trucks and everything, and they don't understand how the flow goes. So I recommend just getting down and talking to them. That way we're all on the same page instead of this guy dumping in the middle, you're getting all mad.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like spread the love.
Show them a culture.
Exactly.
I like that. Is there anything else you would change?
I'll probably give me a 22-inch bumper on my truck.
Okay. Gotcha.
I'll settle for a 20.
Now, you had mentioned...
And a set of train horns.
Yeah.
You had mentioned your wife a few times, Melissa, and you told me that she encountered a JFW truck one time. Do you want to tell us that story?
Yeah. Before we moved over to the Samsura cameras, she was kind of to put it out and map it out. She was jumping onto I-25 northbound from I-70. You know how it loops around, you drop down. And those times, that's when you guys, when you would jump onto I-25, you had to get over one. Now you could just keep going, and you have more than, 3-4 miles to get over to the left. Then you had to get over right away so you don't have to get off on 58th, over on 58th. So there's a JFW truck coming from south, heading north. She's trying to get over, but the JF truck isn't budging. She's speeding up. The JFW truck isn't budging. She slows down. He slows down. And she was forced off the highway. And that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth in a way. And the driver's no longer here with us, but that just kind of, I just wanted to bring that up. A lot of people talk about the cameras being bad and this and that, but because of these cameras, it's made our families more safer, and I'm thankful for that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's upsetting to hear for sure, but I'm glad he's not here anymore, and I'm glad we're safer. So good stuff there. You had given me Melissa's email, so you're not surprised that I emailed her, because I wanted to try to find some things out about you.
Hold on. You emailed her?
So anyway, I did reach out to your wife, and she responded, and she said, "Hi, Jam. I am aware Alan will be on this week's podcast, and I'm very excited for him to be there. He has been practicing questions/answers here at home since he found out." I could just see you with your audience, Sammy.
Don't forget Odin.
And Odin. They're like, "You're doing great, Dad." There is a question I was hoping he'd finally answer to you guys, because he has yet to answer me. Every day after dinner, he sits on the couch with Sam, and I can't help to wonder, is he sitting or laying down? This is a silly question he is all too familiar with, and yet he doesn't seem to give me a straight answer. So maybe he'll give you one. She did send a picture that I downloaded.
Oh, my Lord.
So you guys could see.
Oh, he's totally laying down.
And if you look in the back, there's some suspension parts there. So now that makes sense as to why. So she wants an answer, bro. Are you sitting or laying down?
Well, I'm laying on the couch, but my knees and my legs are at a 90-degree angle. And it's comfortable. I keep telling her it's comfortable to lay like that.
Yeah, that one leg ain't 90, bro. So
What's funny is I've fallen asleep in that so many times.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
It's just comfortable.
Oh, yeah.
Not me. I run to get ready for bed. Like it's like, oh, I can't wait to just be showered and let's
go to bed, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So she continues. Lastly, I'm not sure if you all know, but he has a special connection with raccoons.
Oh man.
I know it sounds strange, but literally one of the most stump moments of my life is when he spoke to one in their language. And without failure, the raccoon spoke back. Yes, I did question my lifetime partner for a moment, but I realized I wouldn't pick anyone else in the world to share my life with. So, can you give us some raccoon talk?
You know,
Come on, don't be shy.
I have to listen to it so I can mimic it. And the story is we were walking by the dumpster and there was baby raccoons and they make this weird little sound.
Like what?
It's hard to, I don't know how to make it. I have to hear it, but I heard them say it and I just mimicked what they said and they responded.
That's funny.
And I felt like a badass, not gonna lie.
One of those times where it worked out perfect.
Yeah. So she goes on. She says, y'all got a good one on your hands. Please let him know it's okay to change out of the JFW uniform on the weekends. Love, Melissa. 0096 on the road. And I love this part, but number one in my heart.
Thanks,
that's
honey.
some good stuff.
Wow, that's awesome. That's sweet.
All right. Safety actually, before we move on to safety topic, Chili Dog, you got anything else you want to discuss?
Oh, I got a couple questions for you guys.
Oh, yeah, the Chili Dog questions.
Oh, yes.
Let's go.
So, I have a question. Many questions.
Are you going to ask them? Or
Are
you
you
just
guys
gonna...
Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's any plans on giving the loaders at Union Central and Plan 11 some CBs for communication purposes.
I mean,
I hadn't heard that they were bad. I mean, we used to do that all the time.
They don't have CB radios, and it's kind of hard to get a hold of them, especially when they're loading
Scooby,
rubble.
I gave Scooby a CB yesterday to run out to Central.
Okay.
And I question if that old dude down at Union would tolerate a radio. I really don't think he would like it.
well,
I mean,
we can
you
find
know
out.
who I'm talking about? He's the same guy that's been
Ed.
down there. Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed.
I'm just saying communication is key.
Central Union and where else?
Plan 11. Because it's hard to get a hold of Plan 11. Well, sometimes you can walk into the batch office, but
Yeah,
sometimes they're not in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes they're out
Or
there loading the
out
rubble.
back. Yeah.
I mean, it's a cheap enough investment if they'll use them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to take the time or the initiative and find out,
Yeah.
we'll hook you up.
Right on.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Next.
I have a question for you, Brother Jim.
Uh-oh.
The Peterbilts over there at the Yard 23,
Uh-huh.
they're getting not close, but eventually they're going to get close to getting replaced. I was wondering what type of trucks would end up replacing the Peterbilts.
Max.
Internationals.
All right, I'm going to head out.
If things don't quit breaking down, we'll be driving Max soon. But I can't tell you that those are any better. I don't know if I have an honest answer. I think the same model, that same Pete. Obviously we were getting the hoods, but I thought I heard Dave the other day when we were talking that the Pete's we just got. They're in their sundown years, so those are going away. There won't be any more hoods made by Peterbilt.
Okay.
If I have that information right. So I think we'd stick with basically the same models, which is the same cab of Kenworth and Peterbilt, just a different hood and some wiring.
Okay.
That would be my best answer. At this point, are we... we're kind of disgruntled. We've had lots of cam issues. We've had engines blown up. We're fighting through some transmission stuff, things like that. I don't think there's a better manufacturer out there that we could look at something. We've mentioned several times we're excited to try the Western Stars that we ordered. That's a Cummins and same transmission, but it will be so Eaton Transmissions makes the pack car Endurant, but Eaton is the manufacturer of it. This will be an Eaton transmission in a Cummins. We're excited to try that combination and see if we get better results. That would kind of be my answer, I think. I don't know. Is that what you were looking for, Chili
Yeah,
Dog? Is that
that's
just curiosity? Yeah.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, I I don't know of
He
any.
was looking for more hoods, Jim.
Well,
Right, but they're going away. That's the,
well,
So there is a rumor.
Well, hold on. Before you dip into that,
Oh,
to piggyback onto what Super Dave said, what do you consider W990s?
yeah, but then I think you're back to a weight issue. You know,
Okay.
it all comes down to weight. We were able to make these hoods that we just got in the Peterbilts way less than what, like your model truck.
Okay.
So that's really what drives us is the weight of the vehicle. So I haven't looked at it. This is really a great question for Brother Dave as far as, because he tasks all our truck salesmen with what's the lightest model, what's the lightest transmission, what's the lightest rear end, all that kind of stuff. That's what we come down to, and for a long time, the pack car motor, it just ruled as far as lightness. I think it was 300 pounds under any other motor. Cummins just came out with a new motor, lightened the stuff up. That's the reason we're in the Western Star, going to put it in the Western Star to try that. So even in the Kenworth in that model, the fiberglass, the different stuff they require with the frame and the cab, we can't get light enough, Chili Dog, and that takes money out of your pocket and ours when it comes down to it.
Do you happen to know what that weight is going to be with the Western Star?
I don't. I would try to get that answer from you, to you from Dave. I mean, because he is seriously the one that signs the final order and all of that. Chili Dog. He's a guru at remembering the numbers, and him and Mike work an order over pretty well. I would think they're right about what the Freightliners are, or a little lighter.
Okay.
And I know the Freightliners are a touch heavier than
27,000 around there, 27.5.
Yeah, probably. We always look at tractor alone when we bring them in, to be in the high 14s, low 15s, I think is where we're at right now. It should be printed on all your dashes on the little gold tag on the Peterbilts.
Yeah.
Is what we try to accomplish. I don't think we've brought anything in the 16s at all for a long time, Chili Dog. So that's where we start, is that weight is what we're after.
Okay.
And historically, the Western Stars have always been too heavy because we've looked at them in the past.
Yeah, been a what do you call it? An industry heavy duty truck.
Yeah,
Dave. Yes, absolutely. But see, the Western Star is truly just a Freightliner, and their new model that we're getting, so you can order. I'm going to call it all Freightliner parts, which is probably a bad representation, but obviously we can put the Cummins in it, we can put the Endurant transmission in it. We can put all the lightweight products in that, instead of, hey, here's a Western Star, but it only comes with an 18-speed. It only comes with a 40,000-pound front end. All the weight stuff that made it heavy duty, now they're allowing you to special order.
Okay.
So, yep.
What are you going to say?
with the rumor?
In the new rumor? Do I have an answer for the new rumor?
Go ahead.
The rumor has it. With the discontinued of the 389, they might be coming out with the 589.
It's a hood.
It's a hooded.
Really?
With a single windshield. It's not the split windshield. We looked at some pictures. It's got the big air
yeah.
cleaner, but we don't know if it's
We're
real
questioning it. So, yeah.
Because that would just go against the reason for getting rid of the 389.
Yeah,
the fuel mileage
and all that. I mean, Brother David be fit right now, because you guys all know that's driven by the government.
Yes.
Right.
Not by us, not by
YouTube, because that's where we saw it.
Yeah.
Right, that's what we're here. Yeah,
Our
yeah.
reload-
It was on the
reliable
internet.
source.
It's got to be true.
right, yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. You guys are up on me. I was trying to think, because the original was a 379 and then the 378, the 370 long. But I actually thought, maybe my numbers are all messed up, but like 10 and 15, the single drives that we have, I thought they were 5 something. They changed the numbers on them. Are they still a 3, but a 389, not a 379?
389.
389. So they're talking they're going to bring out a 5 something, because that's what your model is a 5.
567.
Yeah, is a 5 series. So maybe they are. Maybe that's a way to keep because I know Kenworth brought back the hoods. I mean, they're even doing an anniversary edition this year. Wow. There's only so many of them made, but you can get an old W900 as an anniversary model, which is.
I wonder if they'll ever sell that W900 they have sitting in that showroom over there.
Right, it's been there a while, hasn't it, Jam?
So nice, but
yeah.
Have you seen it?
No, they're at a over there at
MHC. Yeah, it's on the showroom there. It's got
It's
lights.
all black. It's chicken lights everywhere.
Yeah.
It's badass.
Nice. Aren't the stacks cut in the top too or something too, Jam? Doesn't it have all sorts? I mean, it's got a lot on it.
Can't remember.
Yeah.
You got some more questions, Chili Dog?
Yeah, I was gonna ask with all the, since we run pack cars in the majority of our trucks, I was gonna ask you comparing it to Cummins, how do you feel about that?
So, boy, good questions. Lots of history there. Basically, because we wanted the Peterbilts, and we bought a lot of Kenworths, but Peterbilt went to the pack car. You couldn't get the Cat. The Cummins had such a terrible reputation of fuel mileage. We bought those one trucks that had all the Cummins in them. Terrible fuel mileage. A lot of problems with the EGR systems on it, how they were operating. What pack car came to us, and then you're back again looking at weight, and we're like, okay, we just shaved 300 pounds off any Cummins. That really drives that decision. Then you look at oil change intervals, the life expectancy of the motor, when you have to do maintenance on it as far as, rods, mains, cams, that kind of thing. When you're looking at turbos, different things like that, Chili Dog. And the pack car just had a better history, better warranty that it came with. Like I said, I know Cummins has come out with this new model that we're going to try in the Western Stars, but everybody steps up their game and tries to make each thing better.
Okay.
Would love, but just an old passion for a Cat. I mean, I just love the Cat motors. I mean, even out of, the older Detroits, and we had some Detroits and stuff, the Cats just shift so amazing. Their RPMs, their fuel systems, all that kind of stuff. But that's old school. That's just in the past.
Yeah.
We'll never get back to that. Won't be possible. So, I think we have to look at anything. And I joked about the Max, but we're after a company that has a sustainable product that's a long term. We've jumped into all these pack car products, and when we went back and looked, and I think we've had, I think it's a total of, we're calling it 12 cams so far in the fleet that have been out, but they've caused engines to go out. We just took one the other night over there for a cam issue, and they talk about, I don't want to get off in the weeds, but they talk about oil sampling, and everybody's like, oh, you got to sample oil. You got to sample oil. And it's going to tell you, you got, copper in it. So you're losing, I don't know, I'm using the wrong stuff, but if you got copper, you're losing a liner or something, or rings, or you got, actually it should be main bearings because they're copper based, or you got steel and it's going to be this, or you got this, and each alloy tells you what's going on wrong in the motor. And if you look at our industry and you talk to people, and Mike is such a genius when it comes to this, he's having our mechanics just cut open the filter, Chili Dog.
Okay. And
the filter reads like a book. So their paper inside, you pull them out and you cut them, and they fold open like an accordion. So they're laid out in front of you on like a map on the table. And here's the series of metal in this filter.
Okay.
And Mike's like, why do I need to sample when I'm losing a cam right here? I can run it maybe a month more, or it's got some heavier metal in it, or the heavy metal's at the bottom of your map, and because that's where the big pieces are falling to on your map, on your filter. And he had I don't know which guy it was the other night doing maintenance, but cut open a filter, and we took the truck to him that night. Like, we got a cam out.
All right.
And they're looking at it.
That's pretty impressive, not gonna lie.
Right. It's some of the stuff is just, you think of all this technology, but sometimes it's just the old simple school of, here's metal in my filter. I don't care where it came from. I got metal now. My engine's not right. Yeah. We have to do something about it. So, and Dave, in fact, just to brag on him a little bit here, he's in Chillicothe, back at the factory at Kenworth. We had about, I think there was 6 or 8 companies that were invited to come back in a vocational atmosphere like we are, and to go over the trucks and at the factory with the engineers and go, hey, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. We don't like this. This is happening. And we felt pretty honored to be able to go back and do that and have that chance. But Dave and Mike went over the list of our breakdowns because, like Holly, my wife, when we enter it and Mike's reports from the mechanics, we try to enter in all the parts bought, what the notes were and all this stuff. And we printed out all this stuff and Mike and Dave went over it. And then you're like, oh my God. The breakdowns and the problems we've had, things we don't even know about. Mike's just taking care of. Like one thing, the grills and the Kenworths, I guess they break all the time, and Mike's fixing them all the time. We've had to glue back together like 14 grills.
Oh, man.
So just something stupid like that. The stack pins in both the models, I said, Mike, I thought you found a fix for that. You've been putting a bolt in it. He goes, yeah, I sure did. I thought it was a fix. They move so much, his fix has bent the brackets now.
Okay.
And he's like, I can't keep doing that. So we're back to the pins. And every truck I ride in, Chili Dog, if I had to listen to that squeak, I think I would probably, I don't want to joke about suicide, but I would hit myself several times in the head.
Sounds like you got a bunch of chickens in there.
Right? I mean, it is just horrible. And so, Dave's got a whole list to try to address them. I don't know if he'll get a chance because today is his day to be there and try to go over all that stuff with the engineers. Our shift stocks, which controls the transmissions, the stacks, the grills, the cams. I don't know. We've got a lot of wiring harness situations. We've got the transmissions. What's the deal on top?
MTMs.
The MTMs on top of the transmissions, and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's an ongoing battle. There wasn't another choice, but I wish we would have made a different choice in a truck than what we did because we were having a lot of problems we didn't think we'd expected.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good answer to your question.
I like it.
But
I like it.
It's the truth. So I guess if Matt came to us and said, hey, we have this system as far as EGR, aftercooler, the treatment, regen, our motors do this. We don't, we'll give you extra warranty on that. Yeah, we'd look at a Mack, Chili Dog. We'd try to make it the best Mack possible to buy, but we'd look at that because that's just downtime and problems for you. No matter, and I love like you said, the 22-inch bumper. I get it. I love that. I love straight stacks. I love I'm a light freak if you allow me to do it. But it's just things that cause breakdowns and issues, and it takes a special driver. Like a lot of the drivers we have could easily do it. That 22-inch bumper, they'd all come in bent. Not all, I guess that's wrong. A lot of them would come in bent, Chili Dog, because you don't think that they're on the front end, and you go over this 22-inch bumper, you go over a cow turd, and you've tweaked the bumper.
Yeah.
And just not necessary for a fleet. So no matter what's on the hood, we're looking for the reliability and comfort for all of us.
Okay.
Is what we're after.
And touching base on comfort, have you guys thought about Fat Boy kits, that extra backspace on the cabs?
So there again, the Kenworth's got that bump in it that they come out. They have that as a model. Okay. You're looking at weight and you're looking at price.
Oh, okay.
So again, but those new cabs, we were like, well, they're pretty damn big compared to like what Dustin's truck, Dustin just got, or I think Potter took one of the new ones. That's a much smaller cab. It's old school. You've been in them. So yeah, I think we tried to solve the problem with that model truck, not having to put the extra weight of the Fat Boy kits or the expense.
Okay.
So I probably have it wrong, but I think that bump out like on the Kenworths you see, I think it was close to a $7,000 option to do that. And you're just like, okay, we're buying, 25 or 30 trucks at $7,000.
Yeah.
And you got weight and does it give you that much comfort? Is it, I guess you just try to weigh all the options.
I get it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Man, you're making me work this morning.
Just the standard price has gone up. How much, Jim? 60,000.
Yeah. So the trucks last year,
3 years ago, or something like that.
Yeah, 135. You might be 135. Might be. We got into the 140s. So the Pete's that we just closed on was 178.
Crazy. Just crazy.
In 2 years, basically.
In 2 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
How many trucks did you want?
I'll have to get back to you on that one.
But yeah. Though that one, I mean, you still have to afford it, Jam. But that one truck, that's your baby,
Right.
You know, and you're good at recognizing and respecting the truck. I'm using your words. You make that truck last a long time and do a lot of work for you if you respect it. I guess I just love that because I feel passionate about that, because just like keying the truck on, if you respect what the truck needs to do, you're going to allow it to key through its cycle. If you understand about that transmission, you're going to respect that transmission doing all that work and put it in neutral or start out in a lower gear, because that truck is going to work, even though it's inanimate and it's just a thing. That old girl is going to work its ass off for you if you treat it right.
Yep.
So
Something my uncle's always told me, and I like saying it, is that truck is your bread and butter.
yeah, absolutely. Makes you, breaks you.
You got some more questions lined up?
Well, I just one more question. Touching back on the PACCAR, on a scale of 1 to 10, how reliable do you think they are?
Monthly, if you look at the bills. God, Rick, I hope you're not listening, buddy. Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, not. But I don't know if there's anything else better out there, Chili Dog. That's
sense.
the
Right.
problem right now.
Especially with all the regulations you guys have to keep coming up with.
I just don't. The next tier. And like I said, these are great questions for Dave because he pays attention to them more than I do. But like the next tier, I believe, is 2024. We understand, Chili Dog, that people are ordering like we did 22s or now 23s, ordering a bunch of trucks just so they don't have to buy trucks in 24.
Really?
Yes, because they're afraid of what the next step in emissions are going to go. I know Dave's been spitting it out. We're going from, I think, 0.2 right now in emissions to 0.002 in 24. And look at the struggles we're having with that, and then we're going to go another step, and it just affects us. How we like to look at it, or how we like to look at it, Chili Dog. But so we went from the wherever we were at, the 50 trucks we had, we stepped up to the 97 trucks we had. And so you compare the month each. We have our CPA come in and we go through the books month by month to month. When you're looking back at our costs, we couldn't compare because we didn't have that many trucks, right? Back a couple years ago. Well, last year we completed a full year of having the same amount of trucks for every month. So you can compare apples to apples. Our parts bill continues to go up month after month after month. Well, there's a little bit of age to the trucks, but we still have warranty. Why is our parts bill continuing to go up if we're not having more breakdowns? And so our trucks that we bought aren't as reliable as what we thought, because our numbers shouldn't be changing.
Okay.
And we run into the craziest stuff. I have to give it to MHC with working for us, but it took a conversation. I mean, we just had in our PACCAR transmissions, and I think Dave went over this, we did an update because we feel that we're needing to change our transmission parameters because we have better luck with the transmissions that are in the we have less breakdowns the way the transmissions are set in the Peterbilts than our Kenworths. Okay, Kenworths are failing a lot more than our Peterbilt transmissions. Same transmission, it's all in the programming. So Mike, we can change that program. To do that though, you get a hold of PACCAR. PACCAR tells us you have to have the latest program from PACCAR. So we download that program. We put that program in 2 trucks, 2 of the Peterbilts, Kenworths, sorry, 2 of the Kenworths, and in the back, somewhere hidden in the programming, is shut our PTOs off.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So we actually had people buddy dump. We brought the trucks in. We brought the trucks over to MHC. They sat there for, what was it, you guys, a week? 5 days?
Too long.
MHC couldn't fix them, Chili Dog. Couldn't cut out the programming. Just couldn't do it. So Mike, he seriously, you guys, you just do not know what Mike does for this company because he's a grinder. He went to the manufacturer, so Eaton, to their representative, which was Ballard, which Ballard has been the man for Eaton for hundreds of years, and he's, I know hundreds of years, but he is the man. He shows up. He literally fixes those trucks in 4 minutes. He puts Eaton's program in it, fixes them in 4 minutes, doesn't charge us, doesn't do anything, gets them back on the road, and we get this huge bill from MHC, like $7,000 bill from MHC for not fixing. They didn't do anything. They didn't fix the trucks. And their program broke our trucks. So PACCAR broke our trucks, Chili Dog.
Oh, man.
And so in the meantime, MHC has stepped up. We don't have that bill any longer. But your question about PACCAR, if they suck, I'm disappointed in their representation. Their whole deal about their transmission, whether it's an Eaton or not, is their parts availability, what's happening to them. It is an Eaton product when it comes down to the heart of it. But no, I'm not happy with the stuff. The cams that have been going out, if I have the story correct, is they used to, a cam go out, they'd throw a motor in it. That was the fastest way to do it. They'd just exchange and do it. Now they're replacing the cam, but the cams only come out the back, so you have to pull the motor. What design? Any other motor I know, you take the head off and pull the cam out, right?
Yeah.
No, you got to pull the motor because the cam don't go out the back. And
weird.
So those are things that are just, and then you get this thing for the PACCAR. Oh, they've been doing it in Europe for years. They've been doing it over in Europe for years, and it fires Brother Dave up and myself. This is frickin' America. I don't give a shit what they do in Europe. We can't build and make a better product here than using somebody else's product. That bothers us. So then you think about the Europeans. What kind of Europeans what kind of trucks do the Europeans have mostly?
Cab overs.
What do you do with the cab? You raise it up and you take the cam out the back. Don't have to pull the motor. So those, yeah. I don't want to get off on a tangent. The people that we deal with, Rick and Brandt and the guys over at Kenworth, fantastic people. But the product, no, we're disappointed in it at this point. But I just don't know anything better. If somebody come up and prove to me and Dave that this is better, we have a lot of new trucks in the lot.
There's a challenge.
Yeah.
Maybe the right people hear this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So
What else you got?
Great questions, Chili Dog.
Those are all my questions. I appreciate you answering them.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, those were great questions.
Yeah.
Should be the host of this thing. All right, safety topic of the week. So we have some trucks where the trailer valve is hooked up backwards. So basically down is up and up is down. If you have this, please write it up. No circumstances should you be putting your trailer up in the air where it hits that detent and it's going up automatically. You should have to hold the lever down or up for it to go up automatically. And if you get out of your truck while that's happening to run back and open up your valve, that's just bad news. You're not looking out your back window. That needs to be fixed. Write it up so the shop could fix it. Plus, wouldn't you want your trailer to come down automatic where you don't have to hold it down? Because that's a time where if you're on level ground and you set your trailer brake, you can't get out of the truck. So
Yeah.
take care of that, guys.
And all of that, Jam, we've had that happen. We hit a bridge. We dropped the lunchbox on the PTO and the truck was still in the raised position. And we were loaded and hit a bridge.
Wow.
And luckily it wasn't all the way up. And, I think we ended up totaling the trailer. And the other one is we've gotten out of the truck dumping. It was in the raised position, PTO in. The driver got busy getting his ticket signed, trailer raised all the way up, but sat there and idled, and I don't know the time frame of it, a minute with it all the way at the top of the trailer. It locked the trailer in the up position.
Oh, wow.
So the only way to get it down was to crack the butterfly on the line and release some pressure because none of the valves would work to release it. Wow. And it it went to leaking and spraying, and the driver ended up taking a bath. We found out a lot of this after the deal,
Wow.
but the danger in cracking that valve open with
Pressure.
I don't know. I don't even know what our hoists are at. Like 3,000 psi is what they run that loader up with, on that line and crack that line. So yeah, there's a lot of safety issues with that detent that we've just eliminated,
Wow.
through the years because we've had stuff happen.
Yep. Okay. Tips and tricks with Chris Beam and Ray Davis. Chris Beam wrote, make sure you're fully fueled before each day, whether you fuel the night before or in the morning. You never know what each day will bring, so don't try to chance it because you had a short day the day before. Go ahead and top your tank off so you're ready for that surprise load to Alma. Also, these trucks should be able to get a 600 miles on a tank. Call it 550 just to be cautious, but reset your trip odometer every day. That will help you to be able to quickly determine how much fuel/miles you have left. If for some reason, like last week, we run out of fuel, you'll know if you'll be able to run a couple rounds while we wait on the delivery without stressing. So basically, yeah, if you fuel up at night or in the morning, as long as you fuel before you leave the yard for the day, you could go 600 miles. So if for some reason you ran 400 miles the day before, we didn't have fuel, you got to go run a load, you could go run a couple loads and come back and grab fuel. I mean, that's a great tips and tricks. It's pretty standard, It's just doing your job, really. But
yeah, it makes me smile, Jim. I can't say enough about that. It's so, it's Chili Dog. It's respecting the truck. It's Chris Beam knowing his job.
Yep.
It's being in tune with what you do and making the best of it. I mean, to know that you could run 200 miles the next day, how great is that?
Right.
And it helps everybody out and doesn't hurt anybody.
Yep.
Doesn't cost anybody any money.
yeah, I was talking to a driver the other day. He's like, well, my tripometer doesn't work. I'm like, but you're starting mileage. Just write that down.
Yeah, every day.
Should be on your pre-trip.
Yeah.
So, and then Ray Davis, tips and tricks. So now that it's dark when we come in with the time change, we need to be careful and watch out for deer and other animals crossing the highways. Use slower speeds in the mountains and your high beams when you do, so you can see better. Scan your surroundings as you're driving. Watch for reflections from animal eyes. All these things could help. Hope all is well with the JFW family. Much love and respect always. Ray 0012.
I don't want to go back to Chris's or the other tip and trick too, Jim, but if you are in that situation where you didn't do your trip or you didn't pay attention, it's a 5-minute conversation with you or JR or even Linda can do it. We can look up your trip mileage for the day from Samsara.
Yep.
And tell you went 220 miles.
Right.
But the thing is, you all have to remember, if you fueled up,
right,
if
topped
you were
off.
Topped off.
Yep.
If you were topped off, we can tell you what you did the day before or the next day and give you an estimate to help us all out.
Yeah, that, and also when we look up on Samsara, it tells you what percentage you're at.
Yeah.
A guy be like, I'm running out of fuel. Well, you're at 40% left, so.
Yeah, you should be able to get one more round or whatever. Yeah. Or find a gas station or fuel
Right.
stop. Yeah.
Soup, I know you're excited about this week's High Road Hauling. Why don't you hit us?
Okay. Yeah, this one is it's an oldie but a goodie, but I think everybody needs to stop and step back and think about the moral of the story when things are upside down for you, and everybody needs to have a reality check with this. So this High Road Hauling is titled Burned Biscuits. When I was a kid, my mom liked to make breakfast food for dinner every now and then, and that's awesome, isn't it? We do that at home.
That makes a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I remember one night in particular when she had made breakfast after a long, hard day at work. On that evening, so long ago, my mom placed a plate of eggs, sausage, and extremely burned biscuits in front of my dad. I remember waiting to see if anybody noticed those biscuits. All my dad did was reach for his biscuit, smile at my mom, and ask me how my day was at school. I don't remember what I told him that night, but I do remember watching him smear butter and jelly on that ugly, burned biscuit. He ate every bite of that thing, never made a face nor uttered a word about it. When I got up from the table that evening, I remember hearing my mom apologize to my dad for burning the biscuits. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, "Honey, I loved burned biscuits every now and then." Later that night, I went to kiss my dad goodnight, and I asked him if he really liked his biscuits burned. He wrapped me in his arms, and he said, "Your mom put in a hard day at work today, and she's real tired. And besides, a little burned biscuit never hurt anyone." As I've grown older, I've thought about that many, many times. Life is full of imperfect things and imperfect people. I'm not the best at hardly anything. I forget birthdays and anniversaries, and just like everyone else. But what I've learned over the years is that learning to accept each other's faults and choosing to celebrate each other's differences is one of the most important keys to creating a healthy, growing, and lasting relationship. The moral of our story is that you must learn to take the good and the bad and the ugly parts of our lives through our love, kindness, and understanding to make the best out of everything. Because in the end, a burnt biscuit should never be a deal breaker. We could extend this to any situation. In fact, understanding is the basis of how you handle any adversity. If you take the time to think it through, your action will not be a reaction. So don't put the key to your decision on how to act in someone else's pocket. Keep it in your own. So please pass me a biscuit, and yes, the burned one will do just fine. And the quote this week is, "Life is a song, sing it. Life is a game, play it. Life is a challenge, meet it. Life is a dream, realize it. Life is a sacrifice, offer it. Life is love, enjoy it." And that was spoken by Sai Baba, which was an Indian faith healer back in the 1800s. Wow. Yeah. Which is an old quote. I think everybody's. I know you've heard that before, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. Yeah. The biscuits are a good one. It is an oldie but a goodie, like you said.
Yeah, you asked me earlier if I knew what burned biscuits was, and I was like, nope. And now I know why, because I'll remember that forever. That's an emotional one for me.
Yeah.
That's a good one. All right, guys, final thoughts? Any takers? Going once?
Chili Dog, you want to jump in?
I got a final thought. I'm gonna leave you guys with a quote that my wife and I that my wife gave me when I started working here, and it's helped us. It's gotten us through like pretty far, you know.
Nice.
And it goes: work hard, be kind, and stay humble.
I like it.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Yeah, I had a couple different notes. Like I told you, Jim, put the letter from Acuity and had my terrible dad joke in there, and had the letter from Amber, and the podcast notes today kind of read like a book. And Chili Dog, you got all those papers there, and I had a deal here on final thoughts, and I kind of want to change it up because I enjoyed your beginning, Chili Dog, of talking about bugs me, friends and family, and how important. I think we forget, that the biscuits get burnt once in a while, but when you have friends and you have family and you have friends that come over and help you turn your springs on the right side of the axle, and we all, if any of us mess with that, we all know what you're talking about, Chili Dog. It's a pain in the ass, and all that kind of stuff. So I think with your burnt biscuits, I would just ask everybody to remember, possibly how really lucky they are, which is oftentimes hard to remember. Yeah. It's easy to look at the low road, not what you're blessed with, and not what you truly have. You asked me about the pack car stuff, and I'm telling you that it sucks and stuff like that. But you look at the big scheme. We were able to buy new products and new trucks, and we hired new drivers, and we have Brandon for a customer, and we have the people at MHC, to back the product up, and different stuff like that. And Dave was lucky enough to be invited to Kenworth, and stuff like that. But I still dinged the product, right? But I didn't. Maybe I didn't think of how grateful we are to have the community we have, and I enjoy it. I proud of you, Chili Dog, to start that off, thanking your friends and family. That's important.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Soup?
Yeah, back to the burned biscuits, and honestly, even our experience with Packard, Jim, and I think it's easy for everybody to overlook the blessings in life, but you got to also remember every day is a work in progress, right? Nothing's ever perfect. You have to work around that every day and keep on the high road, and that's really important to do.
Yeah.
Think about that high road.
All right, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Channel 23 podcast. Hit that follow button. Also, don't forget to go back and listen to episode 72 and help find Amber's mom. Links to her story will be in the description of today's podcast as well.
Right? You wanted 8, but we'd take more listeners, right? To make.
Well, that was.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was
Friday.
Al. That was Al's. Yes.
I would like 500 more people to listen to episode 72. 'Cause
Yes.
really, out of all the episodes we've ever done and all the things we've ever talking about, that's the most important podcast we've ever done. So, episode 72, go back and listen to it. Tell your friends to listen to it. Let's help find Amber's mom.
Absolutely.
Hear, hear.
All right. Say the creed and
Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right. All right. Together we
we
face and overcome all that stands before us. Together we are accident free. Together we joyfully create honest value for those we serve. Together we celebrate our differences and respect those with whom we work. Together we are accountable for our words and our actions. Together we are the JFW family.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.
I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. Well, it's a family tradition, any Rocky Mountain day. Our fathers before us showed us the way. We work for asphalt cowboys and concrete kings, but that's never been a problem, cause we got diesel in our veins. We've got diesel in our veins. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. I hear there's a couple million tons to move. I see them everywhere. So you best get out their way and watch that sand and gravel disappear. There's another run to make. We gotta get it there on time. And we got what it takes to lay it all out on the line. We'll lay it all out on the line. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks got the best drivers in town. They got all the tools they need to keep that hammer down. When they hit them scales, they won't need to dodge them, won't need to duck them. They just keep that hammer down, and they keep that diesel trucking. Keep that hammer down, and keep that diesel trucking. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-looking for another load. They just keep them doors a-closed, keep them butts in their seats, 'cause those customers are calling, and those red trucks can't be beat. They've gotta put the hammer down and pick up another load. Get it off the ground, keep them eyes open and on the road. Keep them eyes open on the road. I see those big, bright, shiny red trucks just a-trucking down the road. Those big, bright, shiny red trucks just looking for another load. Breaker 23, anybody got a copy on that Channel 23 podcast? Welcome, and thanks for listening.